with fundamental skills required in managing a successful business. Thirdly, to provide partial credit guarantees for participating financial institutions to encourage them to take the risk of lending to the MSMEs. Over the last 5 years, DBN strategically pursued these 3 mandates with compelling results to show for it. Since 2017, DBN has disbursed over 512 billion naira loans to over 225,000 MSMEs, with 67% being women-owned firms and 27% being youth-owned businesses, resulting in the creation of over 150,000 jobs. DBN has, in its bid to address the financing constraints faced by the MSMEs, continued to expand its partners across the 6 geographical zones of the country as a way of driving developmental impact across zones. It has since expanded its participating financial institutions from the 2 it commenced operations within 2017 to about 22 today and still growing.
DBN has been a strong supporter of our aspirations as a bank in FSDH. And so the conversation with DBN FSDH has only been about 1.5 years. But in that 1.5 years, it's been impactful. It's been a journey where we've gone together. And we've sat down and looked at products, services, new areas that we feel our clients and potential new markets that we want to go into require, and we've been able to work with DBN to tailor those products to meet our clients' needs. So for me, it has been an excellent experience these 2 years with DBN FSDH, and I'm assured that this will continue for the next number of years too.
We have a very unique relationship with DBN way back almost 5 years now. They have been able to provide us with wholesale funding, for which we on-lend to our various customers, entrepreneurs across the country, particularly those that are into productive sector across the country. And this relationship has been on for about 5 years. So in a typical way, they provide us with a wholesale fund, and then we on-lend to these entrepreneurs that require such support. Aside from that, they've also been able to provide us with some technical assistance, to make sure that we do the business in the best way possible, in line with their own policy and expectations.
In addition to lending, DBN has also been involved in several capacity building and sustainability initiatives. Over the last 5 years, DBN has trained hundreds of MSMEs as part of its capacity building initiative through the DBN Entrepreneurship Training Program with partners like Google, held annually in Abuja and Lagos. Participants were lectured on the formulation of company ideas, development of business plans, basic accounting and management, digital marketing techniques, basic promotional tools, accessing business prospects, and presentation skills by business professionals. DBN is also actively engaging its stakeholders through a network of strategic activities to deepen financial inclusion, some of which include DBN MSME Summits in Maiduguri and Kano, Dbn Annual Lecture Series, DBN Techpreneur Summit for the tech industry, DBN International Women's Day, DBN World Environment Day Celebration, Sustainability Initiatives Competition, DBN Service Ambassadors Awards to reward the high-performing participating financial institutions, sponsorship of Entrepreneurship World Cup and Dragon's Den, trade shows and exhibitions. The story of DBN's 5 years of impact cannot be complete without hearing the testimonies of business owners who got funding from DBN through the participating financial institutions. Here are a few real-life stories.
We are in the manufacturing sector, especially in the fast-moving consumer goods. So we're into households, things that you can easily find and use in the houses and all that. That's what we're into. The challenges were just simple. Like I said, the raw materials needed for this particular production is enormous. So the lapsas, the sodium sulfate, silicate, and the rest of them. So these are very expensive raw materials. So you need a lot of capital to be able to get them in and use them. Now, prior to the DBN, we were actually running well because the management was right. The marketing analysis were done, so it was also going well. But we discovered that way into the line, as a result of the inflationary trends in Nigeria, prices were tumbling up every day. The dollar price was not helping any matter. So we needed to get it something that could help us to cushion the effect and be able to get in those raw materials. And of course, if you cannot get them in bulk, it's another issue. We heard about DBN through our bankers, Fidelity Bank. I would say that it was the decision to go for the loan was to help our working capital position. Being an FCMG in the sector we are manufacturing, the raw materials are much. The prices are enormous. Most of them come from abroad. So you need a lot of capital to support it. So that's why I went for the loan, to get a loan that could help us to support these working capital needs.
DBN is a point of intervention to our business, and they have intervened at a critical condition when the need arises for us to expand. I've been with DBN loan for almost 5 years. As I've said, the loan has always been coming at appropriate time, the need time. And since that, initially when we got the first loan, we used it for desk and tables for students. But as of now, the one we got through the FCMB, we are using it to expand the school. In terms of classrooms, we are building a new site, which we have assessed it. And as at present, we have also got an approval for us to expand our hostel. Well, I will encourage, especially those of us in educational institutions, because of the liberality, the interest rates, the timing of those loans, that you don't need to go through stress. And above all, when you get it, the only thing I would just advise my colleague when I'm advising that they should make sure those loans are paid back as when due. If the DBN has given us a special interest rate that you cannot get in commercial bank, so it is on also too that we should, as the time due, we will assess it. And I trust DBN, when you finish another one, they are already giving you one. And it has already helped to expand.
Just a minute.
So,
we got the DBA loan 3 years ago, and we are already in 7 years of our vision then. So we actually have some processes before the loan. Apart from the loan, DBN was able to facilitate the training with the LBS. After attending that training, I can tell you that we're able to garner some capacity and some knowledge. And I think that has actually aided our business growth. We're very strong in pastry, bread, and food. We are partners to retail brands like Prince Ebana, Just Right, and other emerging brands in Nigerian supermarket retail. Currently, our staff strength is more than almost 100. The first loan they gave us was 60 million. So getting that money was able to give us opportunity to deploy close to like 5 branches in a single year. The 3 of us that own this business, Adelokun, Abiodun, and Steve Oladaye. Since we got in this loan, I think we've really been able to use a very good judicious use of the funds. So I will encourage them to go, but also encourage the banks to also make effort to also support growing businesses.
We've been involved in the environmental aspect of crude oil exploration in Nigeria. We conduct EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment, environmental evaluation.
The MD Founder Institute. Good morning, ma'am, and welcome to the annual lecture of DBN.
Good morning.
You look beautiful.
Thank you very much.
As a panelist, what should we expect today?
Okay. The theme is empowering SMEs and opportunities that exist for the SMEs. And as MD of Founder Institute, our organization works with high growth startups. And so we'll be sharing information and the different strategies, through which we help this category of startups.
So we should be looking forward to having great conversation on stage.
Oh yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to it. And welcome once again.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Four a.m. After feeding around 4 a.m., the pen attendants spread the feed for the birds to be evenly spread for them to eat. And myself, the manager, do go around by morning and inspect the birds and see maybe if they are healthy. And if there's any weak one that is sick, we isolate it and take it to the sick bay. And after treatment, after fully recover, we return it back to the pen. I like Bekemo Farm because the Bekemo Farm provide job to many staffs around this village. Many staff are benefiting from the village. Myself, I've been working with Bekemo Farm now about 4 years, and it has given me free hand to manage the farm. I control everything in the farm, which gives me joy because I like this poultry business. After working with Bekemo, I wish.
Good morning, entrepreneurs, business leaders, and guests. Welcome to the blue carpet of the Development Bank of Nigeria 2024. My name is Chika Okorie. I'm your host. This year's theme, Empowering Nigerian MSMEs in a Challenging Global Landscape, is a much-needed conversation. So join me as I interview the keynote speaker, Dr. Nneka Onyalikpe, the MD CEO of Fidelity Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Tony Okpanachi, the MD CEO, Development Bank of Nigeria, and other guests as they share their thoughts and what we should expect when they grace our stage. Once again, welcome to the annual lecture of the Development Bank of Nigeria 2024.
Our workers, they are not letting us down. They are making it possible for us to be proud of them, and then to be proud of the company, and to be proud of the bank that have assisted us. And we have been trying our best in this area as manufacturers, especially when we got the loan from Dbn. That has assisted us tremendously. We're able to build direct labor. With direct labor, we're able to build this factory house here. We are having 2 major workshops, one here and one at the other side.
Despite the harsh economic realities, the COVID pandemic, and other volatile environmental and political factors, DBN remains committed and will continue to facilitate sustainable socio-economic development through the provision of finance to Nigeria's underserved micro, small and medium-scale enterprises as well as small corporates through eligible financial intermediaries.
Yeah, on behalf of my chairman, Chief Maurice Abaze, my ED, Onyema Abaze, the board, the management and staff of New Revoke, I want to congratulate DBN for a very wonderful operation for the past 5 years. They have been there for companies, that have helped businesses in Nigeria, and are still helping it. So I pray that God will empower them to continue to do more.
Well, on behalf of Team Deep Educational Service, I use this opportunity to congratulate DBN for a worthy thing they are doing in the lives of the future generation of Nigerians. DBN, congratulations, you will celebrate 6, 7, 10, 20, 30, 50 years.
We, as Smith Park Environmentals Limited and the Imperial Group, we congratulate you on your marvelous work you've done in the industry. Congratulations, and we wish you guys many more years to come, many more successful years to come. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say congratulations to DBN. We're hoping that they will continue to be in business and ensure that, by and large, I thank them for all the capacity building exercise and the financing of the businesses in Nigeria.
I want to congratulate the board, the management and staff of DBN for 5 years of excellent service to Nigeria. And I want to wish them, more glorious years ahead. We're looking forward to partnering with them. They've been a very good ally in the journey of financial inclusion and provision of financial services, especially to the bottom of the pyramid in the country. And I just look forward to them doing more, and getting to greater heights.
So congratulations to the board and management of DBN. The first 5 years, like I've said, have been very impactful. SMEs definitely have felt the impact of your entrance into the market. I can only wish you well for the next 5, 10, 20, multiples of those years. And the market is looking out for you, and we continue to expect, new ideas, new products, more innovation, and better interest rates from you. All the best, DBN.
On behalf of the board, management and staff of Axiom Microfinance Bank, I want to wish DBN happy 5 years anniversary. Continue to impact life, continue to drive the financial inclusion program.
First of all, happy birthday, DBN. I think it's been a tremendous 5 year and such a privilege to work with a group of highly professional and highly dedicated team. Together, we are trying to tackle one of the most biggest challenges of Nigeria, MSME finance, and we feel very privileged to be a partner with you on this journey. And whatever you do, count on us. We will continue to be your trusted partner down the road. Again, congratulations.
I'd like to tell DBN congratulations.
Hi, Mr. Toby. Welcome to the blue carpet of DBN.
Thank you very much for having me here. I really appreciate it.
You happen to be one of the panelists today. Please come closer. Okay. You happen to be one of the panelists today. Yes. Tell us how it's been working in this current state of our economy.
It's been very challenging, to be honest, especially when you read what happened yesterday from the CBN, increasing the basis points. So it's a very challenging environment, especially for those of us in the manufacturing sector. Is very, because you need more funds to expand, and if the cost of funding is very high, it means that your growth will be a lot slower than your counterparts in other parts of the world that have a lot easier and better funding rates. So it's currently a very challenging environment from almost all aspects, from an operational standpoint, from a finance standpoint, even from a sales standpoint, because the manufacturers are not the only end or sector going through this problem. Even the consumers, even the markets is facing some difficulties raising money. So people cannot buy more vehicles, people cannot invest in their business, people can't do so many things. So consumption is really, really low at the moment, and we're just hoping that maybe this is one of the things we have to do to come out of the situation that we are in. So probably in 2 years' time, we will start to see the dividends of this planting season, I would say. So
we're very hopeful.
Yes, same here, I'm very hopeful actually. That's why we are still here.
So looking at the team this year, what should we expect from you on stage today?
I'm just going to tell us to stick to what we're doing. Everything in life is in sequence, like I said earlier. There's a gestation period. Most times in Nigeria, we start something very good, but we don't complete it. We don't go to the next stage. Maybe it's supposed to be stage 1 to 5. We do stage 1 and 2, and we just stop it. We say it's a failure or something. So I'm really I'm hoping that this time around, as a country, not just the DBN, but as a country, we can actually do the right things. We can actually take it one step at a time. We should, as we plant now, as we're taking the big pain, as a country, as a citizen, we should wait also to water the soil then, so we can harvest. Most times we abandon it at a point, and that I'm just hoping that that's what happens.
I'm looking forward to your conversation on stage today.
I'm looking forward to it myself too. Thank you.
Welcome once again. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you so much. All right.
In Nigeria will only require 30 to 40 million jobs by the year 2030. Currently, 50% of Nigeria's GDP is attributed to MSMEs, and this is expected to grow to 70% in 2050. And even though there are over 37 million MSMEs in the country, only less than 5% of them have access to credit in the financial system. As at 2010, about 46% of adults in Nigeria were excluded from financial services. Looking at the data, both domestic and global, development finance suddenly assumes a scale of global emergency when juxtaposed against population growth.
My pikin, how you doing?
Papa, I say make I remind you about that loan.
Loan, I beg.
Hello, Papa?
Jenny, Auntie, please, I need a loan.
MSMEs are collectively the largest employers in many low-income countries, including Nigeria. Yet, their viability is being threatened by lack of access to risk management tools such as savings, insurance, and credit. Indeed, their growth is often stifled by restricted access to credit, equity, and payment services.
If you want peace and prosperity for a country's population, you have to make sure that you promote growth, but more than that, you must make sure that that growth is done in a way that is fair, that is equitable, that generates jobs, that addresses poorer areas of the country and poorer percentages of the population so that you carry as many people along as you can.
Our medium-term plan is to ensure that every MSME that desires financing will have option to be able to get options. So we want to create as many options as possible, especially long-term fund financing for them.
It is a model that minimizes the key risk factors.
I'm really proud that we could support the founding of DBN and support now the business of DBN, since DBN is really relevant for supporting Nigerian small and medium-sized businesses. Our main business is supporting small and medium-sized enterprises in the German economy. DBN does this not on a direct lending basis, but using partner banks, commercial banks. And it's the same business model we as KfW do have here in Germany. We have positive experiences with that, and as far as I can see, the same holds true for DBN in Nigeria.
Development Bank of Nigeria, DBN, was conceived by the federal government of Nigeria in collaboration with the World Bank, African Development Bank, German Development Bank, KfW, French Agency for Development, and European Investment Bank to address the major financing challenges facing micro, small and medium-scale enterprises, MSMEs, in Nigeria. Development Bank of Nigeria provides sustainable financing through eligible participating financial institutions, PFIs, who will in turn lend to end borrowers, micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs. DBN obtained its wholesale development banking license.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to warmly welcome you to this all-important event, which is the 5th Dbn Annual Lecture 2024. This year's lecture is really about how to have resilience in a challenging global economy. Long, short, that's what the theme is about this year. And all you esteemed guests, I'd like on behalf of the organizers to warmly welcome you. And I'd ask that you please make your way to your seats, get to meet a friend. It's truly a challenging space in today's world, and there is nothing more beautiful than making a new friend. So I'd like to urge you to say hello to somebody you've never met before, get acquainted with that person, find out what it is that makes them happy, and perhaps they just might be in a position to tell you those things that make them unhappy. I would like to thank our entrepreneurs who have made their way into the hall, heads of businesses who have come in here to learn and unlearn and rejig and be ready to face the world ahead. I would like to thank our partners and sponsors Fidelity Bank. And we expect that we would be seeing quite a formidable keynote address by the GMD this morning. And of course, like I was saying to some top-level staff of Fidelity Bank, she's a woman very much after my heart, especially because when you look at style and power, there's no more formidable combination when it comes to a woman. And being the first female GMD, she carries a lot in her hands, and she bears and brings goodwill to this 5th Dbn Annual Lecture. Of course, we also have captains of industry in the room, and we also have heads of entrepreneurs, MSME community, financial institutions, managing director of banks who have all gathered here for this activity and this event this morning. Top-level members of the cognoscenti, we welcome you and we thank you for being here. We appreciate your presence, because without you, how can we have this conversation? We thank you most sincerely for being here. A little bird tells me that we have students from Nile University. Please put up your hands if you are from Nile University and if you are already here. What better way to talk about facing challenges, getting resilience, than talking to those who have technology at their fingertips? It's their job to make things better, to learn how to use technology to further, and to ensure that in doing entrepreneurship and being MSMEs, that technology is one of the ways to go. We all know that. Some of us are still struggling to understand the number of things that our phones can do. But we know that the younger generation have it at their fingertips. And all we do at DBN is to encourage resilience, to provide capacity, and to try to remove the financial constraints that prevent you from accessing finance for doing your business. Let's hear a round of applause for DBN this morning for putting this together. It's not loud enough, it's morning. Thank you very much. Let's hear a round of applause for Fidelity Bank for coming along. And let's give a round of applause to that place that grows the engine, the economy of any nation, the MSMEs. A round of applause for them. They are standing in the gap to take Nigeria where we want them to be. You don't have to be big to push the envelope. You can be just a small enterprise making your way in the world. I've seen my brother Alhaji Borodo. We thank you for coming. It's good to see you always. And all my friends, family members of DBN, clientele of DBN, those that DBN supports, we thank you for coming. And of course, we have a member of the security apparatchik who has joined us this morning. It's good to see you. Thank you for coming. It's always a pleasure to be here. I'd like, on behalf of the DBN, to welcome you, ask you to please make yourselves comfortable. And in a short while, we will be starting, but I would not go forward without mentioning our development partners who are here, international organizations and members of the diplomatic corps who have taken time out of their busy schedule to join us this morning. We truly thank you and we welcome you. Welcome to everyone. Thank you for coming.
Financial institutions, or what we call multilateral development financial institutions, have actually windows. The Asian Development Bank actually lends through financial institutions, commercial financial institutions, to reach SMEs. The African Development Bank also have the same model where we go through development commercial banks to reach the SMEs. And if you look at their portfolio, it is generally low risk and the defaults are very low, and therefore it is a very good model to adapt to.
Since inception, DBN has engaged a wide range of commercial banks, microfinance banks, and other development finance institutions, and up till date, close to 15 participating financial institutions have come on board.
Access to our loans is easy. We understand the day-to-day business growth challenges of SMEs, so we offer a listening ear. We're able to provide advisory to support you, to bring you into a group of people that are able to share experience provide access to markets, because we do have big company players, so some of them are the customers that actually offtake the outcome of your products and services. We're a partner that is sure. We have experience across Africa. We have a large customer base. We have a large network. We have the digital platforms. And with DBN, we have a good partner that brings affordability. And therefore, this is the bank you should come to in order to realize your ambitions.
It has largely been a collective and shared responsibility between us, because we are both motivated by common ethos and desire to alleviate the challenges faced by SMEs, particularly in the area of access to sustainable long-term financing. So that partnership, I think, is a shared objective, which that collaboration works very well with DBN. I would say one competitive advantage that we have is our wealth of experience in processing intervention funds for small businesses, especially the underserved ones. We also make sure that we cater for the needs along their value chain. A very good case in point to mention here is DBN Credit Finance for aggregators specialized in agro-processing. With the loan, the customer has expanded his storage facilities, thereby reducing product wastage for smallholder farmers along their value chain. So I think that, this is particularly focusing on agriculture, but there are several segments these SME play in. And I think that our deep understanding and collaboration has helped us meet those critical funding needs of small businesses in Nigeria.
Through some of the things which we do, also support them through capacity building. All right, so today, if you ask me, I think we must be supporting anywhere near about 1,000 women by way of this facility. There are people in the textile industry who have benefited. There are those in the leather industry who have benefited. There are those who are getting into the hospitality sector and catering that we've provided money. It's a large number of people, all right, that we've provided this funding to. The good thing about the structure of the funding is that while it allows for MSMEs, it also goes up a bit more to SMEs, all right? So it's a broad spectrum of women that we have supported. There are cases of people who have had startup restaurants, and through the on-lending arrangement from Development Bank of Nigeria, we've been able to help them grow. So it's a large number of cases.
We were really delighted, to see a financial institution like the DBN, coming up, and therefore it was very easy for us to take the decision to enter into partnership with the bank. And within a very short time, we have been able to access 3.2 billion naira for all the purpose of our lending. The impact that has had on our portfolio is that it has enabled us to reach a larger number of clients, and which is our prime objective, that is to expand the access of financial services to a larger number of people, especially those who are usually excluded from the mainstream financial sector. The additional impact is the fact that it has increased the volume of business, and that also translates to a superior financial performance in a way.
Our relationship with the Development Bank of Nigeria.
Statistics indicate that 90% of new businesses die within the first 5 years. Question is, why is this so?
Over 1 million businesses failed in the last couple of years, according to SMEDAN. And these businesses fail during these first 5 years due to some intrinsic and extrinsic factors.
Hello?
Hello,
Kenny. If you make 10 tops by this time next week, sharp. Oh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, talk later.
One day,
We get money
I
now.
go go any store and say I want everything. One day.
My pikin, how you dey?
Papa, I say make I remind you about that loan.
Loan, I beg.
Hello, Papa.
Your move. Hello, sister of life.
I won't remind you of that loan. Hello?
Hello, Oga. Your clothes done ready?
Are you an entrepreneur looking for financing to grow a business? I have good news for you. Development Bank of Nigeria now provides sustainable financing through commercial banks, microfinance banks, and other financial institutions with repayment terms of up to 10 years. Please do remember, paying back your loan in good time will give you access to more loans.
Development Bank of Nigeria, financing sustainable growth.
Hello. Hi, Jenny. Can you supply 1,000 bottles of juice by noon?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, bye.
Hello?
One day, I go any store and say I want everything.
Jenny. Auntie, please, I need a loan.
One day, anything I want.
Hurry up.
Get it times 2. Someday, I'll be living.
Hello?
Sorry, me
Clean that up. Clean that up.
Because I don't get the money, you downgrade me. Sorry, me
Your order is on the way.
Are you an entrepreneur looking for financing to grow a business? I have good news for you. Development Bank of Nigeria now provides sustainable financing through commercial banks, microfinance banks, and other financial institutions with repayment terms of up to 10 years. Please do remember, paying back your loan in good time will give you access to more loans.
Development Bank of Nigeria, financing sustainable growth.
Hello, Kenny. If you make 10 tops by this time next week, sharp. Oh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, talk later.
One day,
We get money
I
now.
go any store and say I want everything. One day.
My pikin, how you dey?
Papa, I say make I remind you about that loan.
Loan, I beg.
Hello, Papa.
Your move. Hello, sister of life.
I won't remind you of that loan. Hello?
Hello, Oga. Your clothes done ready?
Are you an entrepreneur looking for financing to grow a business? I have good news for you. Development Bank of Nigeria now provides sustainable financing through commercial banks, microfinance banks, and other financial institutions with repayment terms of up to 10 years. Please do remember, paying back your loan in good time will give you access to more loans.
Development Bank of Nigeria, financing sustainable growth.
Hello?
Hi, Jenny. Can you supply 1,000 bottles of juice by noon?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, bye.
Hello?
One day, I go any store and say I want everything.
Jenny. Auntie, please, I need a loan.
One day, anything I want.
Hurry up.
Get it times 2. Someday, I'll be living.
Hello?
Sorry, me
Clean that up. Clean that up.
Because I don't get the money, you downgrade me. Sorry, me
Your order is on the way.
Are you an entrepreneur looking for financing to grow a business? I have good news for you. Development Bank of Nigeria now provides sustainable financing through commercial banks, microfinance banks, and other financial institutions with repayment terms of up to 10 years. Please do remember, paying back your loan in good time will give you access to more loans.
Development Bank of Nigeria, financing sustainable growth.
Hello, Kenny. If you make 10 tops by this time next week, sharp. Oh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, talk later.
One day,
We get money
I
now.
go any store and say I want everything. One day.
My pikin, how you dey?
Papa, I say make I remind you about that loan.
Loan, I beg.
Hello,
Sister of life.
I won't remind you of that loan. Hello?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the annual lecture of DBN.
Thank you.
So tell me your name and what you do.
My name is Ibe Vivian. I'm a lawyer.
You're a lawyer. Are you a business person?
No, I'm not.
So you're just here to get all the information.
Yeah.
So tell me what your expectations are for today.
Basically, I'm here to learn about development of banks here in Nigeria. Okay. Basically, get knowledge because I don't have much knowledge about that.
Well, I guess you've come to the... No, I don't guess. You are in the right place. So welcome to the annual lecture of DBN.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, we'll be interviewing more guests right here on the blue carpet of the DBN. Do stay tuned.
Because I don't get the money, you downgrade me.
Your order is on the way.
Are you an entrepreneur looking for financing to grow a business? I have good news for you. Development Bank of Nigeria now provides sustainable financing through commercial banks, microfinance banks, and other financial institutions with repayment terms of up to 10 years. Please do remember, paying back your loan in good time will give you access to more loans.
Development Bank of Nigeria, financing sustainable growth.
Hello? Hello, Kenny. If you make 10 tops by this time next week, sharp. Oh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, talk later.
One day,
You get money
I
now.
go any store and say I want everything. One day.
My pikin, how you doing?
Okay, hi, welcome to the blue carpet.
Thank you very much.
What's your name?
My name is Aisha Yahya.
Are you a business person?
Yes, I am. What do you do? I run an agro-processing business. I process agricultural products into finished goods.
Wow.
Yes.
Welcome to the annual lecture today.
Thank you so much.
So do you have any expectations for today?
Truly, today I was at the last event and it actually impacted on me and my business. So today I'm fully ready to gain more and go with it. Yeah.
Do you have any speaker you're looking forward to, listening to?
I look forward to all the speakers. Truly, they are special people, so I want to hear from all of them.
You are fully ready.
Yes, fully ready.
Welcome.
Thank you so very much.
Please, I need a loan.
One day, anything I want,
Hurry
I'll
up.
get it times 2. Someday, I'll be living
Hello?
my dream. Sorry, me, lower.
Clean that up. Clean that up.
Because I don't get the money, you downgrade me. Sorry, me, lower.
Your order is on the way.
Are you an entrepreneur looking for financing to grow a business? I have good news for you. Development Bank of Nigeria now provides sustainable financing through commercial banks, microfinance banks, and other financial institutions with repayment terms of up to 10 years. Please do remember, paying back your loan in good time will give you access to more loans.
Development Bank of Nigeria, financing sustainable growth.
Hello? Hello, Kenny. If you make 10 tops by this time next week, sharp. Oh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, talk later.
One day,
You get money
I
now.
go any store and say I want everything. One day.
My pikin, how you doing?
Papa, I say make I remind you about that loan.
Loan, I beg.
Hello, Papa.
Your move. Hello, sister of life.
I won't remind you of that loan. Hello?
Hello, Oga. Your clothes done ready.
Are you an entrepreneur looking for financing to grow a business? I have good news for you. Development Bank of Nigeria now provides sustainable financing through commercial banks, microfinance banks, and other financial institutions with repayment terms of up to 10 years. Please do remember, paying back your loan in good time will give you access to more loans.
Development Bank of Nigeria, financing sustainable growth.
Hello?
Hi, Jenny. Can you supply 1,000 bottles of juice by noon?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, bye.
Hello?
One day, I go any store and say I want everything.
Jenny. Auntie. Please, I need a loan.
One day, anything I want,
Hurry
I'll
up.
get it times 2. Someday, I'll be living
Hello?
my dream. Sorry, me, lower.
Clean that up. Clean that up.
Because I don't get the money, you downgrade me. Sorry, me, lower.
Your order is on the way.
Are you an entrepreneur looking for financing to grow a business? I have good news for you. Development Bank of Nigeria now provides sustainable financing through commercial banks, microfinance banks, and other financial institutions with repayment terms of up to 10 years. Please do remember, paying back your loan in good time will give you access to more loans.
Development Bank of Nigeria, financing sustainable growth.
Hello? Hello, Kenny. You fit make 10 tops by this time next week. Sharp, sharp. Oh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, talk later.
One day,
You won't get money
I
now.
go go any store and say I want everything. One day, one day, one day.
My pikin, how you dey?
Papa, I say make I remind you about that loan.
Loan, abeg.
Hello, Papa.
Your move. Hello, sister of life. I won't remind you of that loan. Hello? Hello, Oga. Your clothes done ready?
Are you an entrepreneur looking for financing to grow your business? I have good news. Of Nigeria now provides sustainable.
Gentlemen, I'd like to warmly welcome you to the 5th Dbn Annual Lecture 2024. Let me put you on notice that His Excellency the Vice President's representative is already in the room, as a result of which, therefore, in another 3 to 5 minutes, we will commence proceedings. On behalf of the organizers, I'd like to apologize for the late start of this event and assure you that as soon as we take off, we will ensure that the gaps are minimal and we will race through the event in a meaningful, powerful way that would ensure that we are all learning together. I warmly welcome you and I thank you for making the time to join us this morning. As soon as I get the nod from Malam Idris, I will call for a salute to the nation. And once the salute to the nation has been taken, then everything is set to go. And we have our very elegant keynote speaker, who is CEO, Group Managing Director of Fidelity Bank, in all her glory, has arrived this morning. And we thank her for accepting to do the honors for us for Development Bank. Of course, the Chief Host, the Managing Director of DBN, my brother, Dr. Tony Okpanachi, has already made his way into the hall. And we're well covered here because we have members of the security apparatus at the very highest level of Nigeria who are here. We have our panelists and we have Professor Joseph Nana, who is our moderator for the day, already seated. Managing Director Nexim, Managing Director of various banks, and former Chairman of DBN, Dr. Shehu, is already in the room. I salute the representative of Dangote, who is already here seated. My big sister, Haja Fati Wali Abdurrahman. But just to let you know that everybody who is here is most warmly welcome, highly recognized. We thank our development partners. I am waiting for Malam Idris. Malam Idris, as soon as you give me the nod, we will take the national anthem. You are the one who has not told us what to do yet. And as soon as you do, we will all take the anthem. Malam Idris, are we good to go? We're good. Are we good to go? I was waiting for your nod. You know you have to learn how to take instructions from your client so you don't make a mistake. Media, I don't want us to be standing and the anthem is not cued. Let me know if we're good to go. Thumbs up. Shall we rise and salute our nation? The national anthem is 3 stanzas. What happened to the rest of it? Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to urge you to please be seated at this time. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Excellency Kashim Shettima, ably represented today by Dr. Tokpe Faswa, Special Advisor on Economic Affairs in the Office of the Vice President, ranking members of the National Assembly here present, heads of government and extra-ministerial departments, board and management, Development Bank, MD, CEO, Development Bank. I'd like to place on record our chief host, Dr. Okpanachi, who is the managing director, ED, Development Bank, our keynote speaker, Dr. Neka Onyeli Ikpe, moderator, Professor Nana, and panelists, captains of industry, managing director of banks, heads of financial institutions, development partners, heads of international organizations, members of the diplomatic corps, members of Nigeria's security agencies here present, members of the MSME community here present, business leaders and entrepreneurs, women's groups, youth groups, students of Nile University. Are you already here? I don't see them yet. We have community-based organizations and civil society organizations, members of the fourth estate of the realm, members of my family, the media, esteemed invitees, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I warmly welcome you to the 5th Dbn Annual Lecture 2024. My name is Eugenia Abu. I'm a national broadcaster, multimedia strategy expert, and a columnist. I'm truly honored to have the enviable position of being the compere for the Dbn Annual Lecture for the 3rd year running. It's a hat trick, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here. The mandate of the Development Bank of Nigeria to support the growth and sustainability of micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises in Nigeria by increasing access to finance, capacity building, and partial credit guarantee is no mean mandate in the face of financial shocks, financial instability, an atmosphere of uncertainty in financial markets, and several other challenges that stare organizations such as DBN in the face. DBN has a duty and a responsibility to alleviate the financial constraints faced by MSMEs, and therein lies the crux of the matter. Today, the theme for the 5th Dbn Annual Lecture is empowering Nigeria's MSMEs in a challenging global economic landscape. Such a fitting theme for such a time as this. I just returned from the Northeast to work with the Northeast Development Commission on a Northeast Climate Summit, which is important because most people don't think climate change affects MSMEs. Who would have thought Maiduguri? But there it is, and the flooding is taking place across the world, in Poland and in East Europe. But we move, and DBN is always determined to focus to ensure that her beneficiaries thrive in the face of these challenges, that they have resilience and are ready to surmount any challenges that may come their way. According to Muhammad Yunus, a foremost microfinance pioneer, quote, "You have to define your destination and then use your imagination to find the path to reach it." Permit me to take a second quote from Muhammad Yunus. Quote, "Making money is happiness. Making other people money is super happiness." There you have it, the mandate of the DBN in a capsule. Making other people money is super happiness. In this world, we're finding that money is so tough. Creating capacity, standing in the gap for MSMEs, is a man who continues to bring in his A game to spreading super happiness for MSMEs, and whose leadership quotient leads an efficient team of men and women to continuously up the ante on delivering DBN's mandate. Please help me welcome the savoir-faire and cerebral managing director of DBN, my brother and friend, Dr. Tony Okpanachi. I invite him now to deliver his welcome address.
Thank you very much, my dear sister, for those very kind words. And it's good to know that you've been with us on this journey for the last 3 years. Thank you very much. And again, thank you for setting the protocols so I don't have to go through certain protocols. So thank you very much. I will say that. Again, it's good to see everybody here, but I'd like to acknowledge the presence in a special way of the chairman. Well, he likes to be called former, and I'm going to put him on the spot. He said I should add former chairman of Development Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Shehu Yahaya. I wanted to start on that appreciative note because of the role he has played. We're on the fifth series now. The last 4 years, he was at the helm of affairs, and the role he played in DBN, we can never forget. So, in addition to all your titles, since you want to be called former, so if after everything I said FC, that's the new title for you, former chairman. Thank you very much for joining us, and for also our directors, Malam Bintibe, for joining us. Very busy time, but taking out time, and all the others. Let me thank you all for your time. Our esteemed guests, shareholders, CEOs here present, my friends, my brothers, my sisters, development partners, I see some of them here. Thank you very much for being here. Our partners, the participating financial institutions, the banks that make all these things work for us, thank you very much. Our regulators, the MDAs, entrepreneurs, the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, once again, I say good morning. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the 5th Dbn Annual Lecture. Today, we gather to discuss a critical issue that underpins the fabric of our nation's economy, the well-being of micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs like we call them. These businesses, often overlooked, but undeniably are the backbone of our economic landscape, driving job creation, innovation, and the overall prosperity of our country, Nigeria. However, before we start the obvious analysis of challenges these MSMEs face, let me go back a little to refresh and reflect on our journey to accelerating development and impact across all sectors of the Nigerian economy. Development Bank of Nigeria is a wholesale development finance institution established to address the major financing challenges facing micro, small, and medium enterprises in Nigeria. Our objective is to alleviate financing constraints faced by MSMEs and small corporations in Nigeria through the provision of financing and partial credit guarantees to eligible financial intermediaries on a market-conforming and fully financially sustainable basis. We have dedicated ourselves to achieving this objective through several initiatives, one of which is the Dbn Annual Lecture, which kicked off in 2019 with the theme, Surviving to Thrive, MSMEs as a key to unlocking inclusive growth in Africa. We paused in 2020 due to COVID-19 pandemic, but came back very strong in 2021 as a direct response to the challenges caused by the pandemic with the second edition themed Resilient Innovation, MSMEs Adaptability in Uncertain Terms. In 2022, the late Herbert Wigwe, the former CEO of Access Holdings, may so rest in peace. I specifically mentioned him because he was there with us, but today he's not, so may so rest in peace. He spoke on the theme, MSMEs thriving in the face of domestic and global disruptions. And the very last edition we had in 2023 was on a digital Nigeria, leveraging technology to improve ease of doing business for MSMEs in Nigeria. This year, our theme is focused on empowering Nigerian MSMEs in a challenging global landscape, which will be delivered by Dr. Neka Onyalikpe, the MD Group CEO of Fidelity Bank, who is also very passionate about SMEs. And I'm sure you all know what Fidelity Bank is doing in the area of SMEs. They not only talk about it, but they also do. So please put your hands together for Fidelity for that. And we also have distinguished panelists who are also going to do justice to the topic. As Nigeria's primary development finance institution, we at DBN recognize that the current global economic climate presents a formidable challenge to MSMEs, particularly in Nigeria, where rising production costs, inflation, unstable exchange rates, and disruptions in the global supply chain affect their output. However, we also know that an annual lecture like this also presents plausible alternatives on how MSMEs can thrive amidst these socio-economic and political headwinds, which is why we go the extra mile in bringing together the best brains to share their perspectives. Recognizing the pivotal role of MSMEs in our economy, the government has taken significant steps to address these challenges through various initiatives to create a more enabling environment for MSMEs. And we must commend them that. Those things are still challenging. There's still more to be done, I can say. We all must support the government's effort by working together creatively and implement innovative strategies to empower MSMEs and unlock their full potential. By establishing loan guarantee schemes, allocating funds for innovative startups, providing targeted tax breaks, and investing in essential infrastructure, we can create a conducive environment for MSMEs to grow and prosper. This annual event is a testament to our unwavering commitment to fostering sustainable economic growth in Nigeria. It is an opportunity for us also to recognize and appreciate the invaluable contributions of our various stakeholders, especially the PFIs, in ensuring that MSMEs have access to the much-needed financial resources they require to thrive. Over the past year, the partnership with our PFIs has continued to evolve, resulting in significant achievements in supporting the growth and development of MSMEs across the country. Together, we have provided critical funding, technical assistance, and capacity building programs to empower MSMEs to realize their full potential. Since we commenced operations, ladies and gentlemen, we have cumulatively disbursed over 786 billion in loans to over 494,000 micro, small, and middle enterprises across the country, thereby resulting in the creation of 1.2 million jobs. You will agree with me that we couldn't have achieved this feat without the support of all our stakeholders. So please, can you give yourself a round of applause for this? Notably, as a result of our solid commitment to our mandate of driving sustainable growth, we have also aligned and supported the federal government's priority sectors in our disbursement. For instance, 74 billion of our loans were allocated to the manufacturing sector, benefiting 3,696 end borrowers, 38 billion to agriculture, reaching over almost 9,000 end borrowers, just to mention a few. These strategic investments underscore our drive to grow sectors vital to Nigeria's nation's economic development. So, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm confident that our erudite keynote speaker and panelists will do justice to the theme and provide a clear roadmap that will address the needs of MSMEs. I urge you to pay attention and make the most of other networking and exhibition opportunities available. If you step out and you look to your right, you see so many exhibition areas and networking areas. So take advantage of that and see what opportunities also are available there. Sometimes, I can say, the answers we seek are closer than we think. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to conclude with Tom Colicho's of Craft Hospitality, his quote, and he said, small businesses are the lifeblood of our neighborhoods and communities. It is important to support and nurture their success. And you never know, any of these small businesses on the list could end up being traded on the stock market someday, end of quote. I can assure you, when we hear of the likes of Cadbury, Unilever, Dangote, and the likes, they all started as small businesses. So opportunities abound. So we must nurture our small businesses to grow. So I say this is a clarion call to all stakeholders to work together to ensure that Nigeria's MSMEs have the support they need to overcome challenges, seize opportunities, and contribute meaningfully to our nation's economic growth and development. A thriving MSME sector is not just a goal, it is a necessity for prosperity and sustainable future for all of us. So, ladies and gentlemen, I call on all of us to discuss, interact, and ensure that we make the best of this opportunity. Let me use this opportunity to thank you very much for joining us and for listening to me. Thank you very much.
Indeed, it is a place for discourse. It's a place for going forward and discussing how to make the MSMEs resilient. And this annual lecture series is put together by the DBN to create an opportunity and a platform for stakeholders to come together and discuss how to make this economic engine growth go further for the nation. Let's hear another round of applause for the Managing Director of DBN. I'd like to put on record some of our very distinguished personalities who are here, but before we do that, I'd like to very quickly I love quotes, so they help you to center yourself and understand what's going on around the world other than you. From a former American president, Ronald Reagan, if we ever forget that we are one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under. And that quote underscores the importance of the national anthem. And because we did have an awkward moment at the beginning, it's my take that we all agree that we do it again in order to salute our nation properly. And therefore, we'll pause at this moment. We would rise. Media is now at that point where they can give us the national anthem that we require, and we'll take it. We apologize on their behalf, but we are human. Time to rise for the national anthem. Media.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all and proud to serve our sovereign mother.
Please be seated. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, media. As they say, to err is human, to forgive is divine. We understand it can happen to the best of us. We forgive. I'd like to recognize the former chair of DBN, my friend, Dr. Shehu, who is here with us. We thank you for being here. I'd like to greet and salute Major General Monday Ihanwaze, representing the Chief of Army Staff. We welcome you, sir. Thank you for coming. We have with us this morning Professor Armstrong Idachaba, Dean of the Faculty Management Sciences, representing the Vice Chancellor of Veritas University, Professor Idachaba. Professor Uche Waleke, representing the Chairman, Senate Committee on Banking, Senator Mukail Adetokumbo Abiru. Thank you for coming. Mr. Sunday Robert Aroni, the Director, Skills Acquisition, Entrepreneurship Development Department, representing the DG, NYSC. And we also have with us Malang Ababello, Managing Director, CEO, Nexim Bank, who has joined us this morning. We do have a long list of recognitions, and I will take it at various junctions so we are not distracted. I'd like to thank you all for being here, for joining us, our esteemed panelists who have made their way into the hall. Today, our special guest of honor is our Vice President, His Excellency Kashim Shettima, who has served his nation in various capacities, having held the position as Senator for Borno Central, was former Governor of Borno, banker and academic, the Vice President of the Federal Republic, the 15th and current Vice President is our special guest of honor. But he has deemed it fit, as he is unavoidably absent, on duties for the nation across the world, to send an analyst and global analytics specialist whose trenchant economic analysis appears in several Nigerian newspapers, while he also became a public analyst in the media, seen on television, giving his bit to make Nigeria better. Dr. Faswa is the Vice President's choice to represent him today, a worthy representative. Please help me welcome my friend, Special Advisor on Economic Affairs in the Office of the Vice President, Dr. Tope Faswa.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to stand on existing protocol, but also, before I delve into the speech for His Excellency Vice President, who is presently representing Nigeria at the United Nations, as we know, General Assembly, I just want to make a couple of comments. First of all, to acknowledge some of my bosses in banking who are here seated. This is Nneka Anyalipe. Those are my bosses in banking since 1993. Also, Mr. Gbengalade, the MD of AMCON, is here present. And of course, every distinguished member of the panel that's going to be sitting here today, ladies and gentlemen. Before I go into this speech, I'd like to say one thing that occurred to me as the MD, Mr. Tony Okpanachi, was making his speech. According to SMEDA numbers, we have about 39 million NMSMEs in Nigeria, including nano businesses. The other time I checked online, the number of SMEs in the world recorded is 312 million, actually. 312 million. So we have 39 million out of that. So probably have about 8% of global NMSMEs, at least. We can take that to the bank and brag about it. However, it occurred to me that the NMSME phenomenon in Nigeria is also a symbol of national security and stability. Nigerians are driven people. We don't wait for anybody. We try to sort ourselves out one way or the other. So it's very important to recognize that. I was on a training recently at which we were looking at other countries, South Africa, Kenya, and realized that the spur to create business and to do something about their personal circumstances was what set Nigeria apart. And I think Nigerian MSMEs deserve a round of applause for that. That said, I'm now going to deliver the goodwill message by the special guest of honor, His Excellency Senator Kashim Shettima, Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, at the Development Bank of Nigeria PLC's 5th Annual Lecture Series, September 25, 2024, today in this hall. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to be here today as a special guest of honor at the Development Bank of Nigeria's 5th Annual Lecture Series with the theme, Empowering Nigerian MSMEs in a Challenging Global Landscape. Development Bank of Nigeria, DBN PLC, was set up by the federal government of Nigeria in partnership with several international finance institutions to provide medium to long-term financing for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs. DBN's achievements are significant and far-reaching. The bank has provided over 787 billion naira in loans to over 500,000 MSMEs across Nigeria. This has created jobs, boosted economic activity, and helped to reduce poverty, which aligns with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 8 priority areas of ending poverty, achieving food security, economic growth and job creation, access to capital across all segments of society and the economy, inclusivity, security, fairness, and rule of law, and anti-corruption. Speaking specifically, some of this administration's achievements, especially as they relate to empowering MSMEs, include, number one, the signing of 2 foreign direct investment deals worth over $500 million, launch of the compressed natural gas CNG initiative, distribution of 1 million conversion kits to commercial vehicles, creation of the Consumer Credit Corporation with over 200 billion naira, securing $620 million under the Digital and Creative Enterprise IDICE program, introduction of the Skill Up Artisans program, SUPER, I think that's under the ITF, launch of the Nigerian Youth Academy, NIA, initiation of the Nigerian Youth Talent Export program, NATEP, financial support of over 570 billion naira to the 36 states, construction of 10 MSME hubs, creating 240,000 jobs, payment of 1 billion, we could take that applause. Thank you very much. Creation of 10 MSME, creating 240,000 jobs, payment of 1 billion naira each to large manufacturers, the signing of the national minimum wage law, raising the minimum wage to 70,000 naira per month, removal of tariffs and import duties on essential food items and medical supplies, distribution of fertilizers, and initiation of a project to cultivate over 10 million hectares of land, increase food production and job creation through agricultural incentives. These initiatives will help to boost the capacity of MSMEs while creating jobs and opportunities for all Nigerians. I'm confident that the deliberations at the Development Bank of Nigeria's 5th Annual Lecture Series will contribute immensely to empowering Nigerian MSMEs in a challenging global landscape, and I wish you the very best. Thank you for your attention and for listening. God bless DBN. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The power of MSMEs and every stakeholding organization working so hard to place them in their proper place, provide capacity, and support them to ensure that they have resilience and they move forward to help grow Nigeria's economy in a sustainable way. Please give another round of applause to the representative of His Excellency, the Vice President, who has given us some information across board about what government is doing to make things better. But as you would hear as we continue, that being said, there's just so much to be done, so much more, including tax breaks and all those other related economic matters. You would hear them from the panelists, the moderator, and of course, our keynote speaker. Your Excellency, because I love jewelry, I'll do very well in selling them, you know? And I've tried to convince Dr. Okpanachi over the years. I say, you know, my brother, you have to give me a loan. Let me, you know. He goes, you are not an entrepreneur. I don't know how he wants to describe me any further than this. I can sell pearls, well adorned by a keynote speaker today. My favorite jewelry is pearls, and she's very well adorned in them in such an elegant way. I can sell other things like diamonds and rubies, and nobody needs to know where I live, you know, because women like these things and they're not cheap. But I can be an entrepreneur in an area in which I have passion. You know, I mean, all of you, such a large number of people can convince Dr. Tony Okpanachi today that he does need to give me a loan for me to travel to the places where they make good jewelry. And we have stones in Nigeria, you know, and we're mining them. I want to be inside that place. Dr. Okpanachi does not trust that I can deliver. Dr. Okpanachi, just try me just once. And then we can go forward with this matter. But I'm particularly pleased to introduce to us today the Senior Advisor to Group President, Special Projects, Strategic Relations of Dangote Industries Limited, Hajia Fatima Wali Abdurrahman, who is here with us this morning. We also do have Barrister Olusegun Omotola, Acting Director General, Bureau of Public Procurement. It's good to have you join us. Thank you very much for coming. I'm waiting for the list, and we do have quite a robust list. We will not dwell on it because we came here to do other things and everybody is so recognized. I'd like to welcome and greet Uzoma Nwagba, Managing Director, Nigeria Consumer Credit Corporation, Credit Corp. Mohammed T. Yusuf, TA to MD AMCON, here. And I would like to greet and welcome the representative of the Managing Director of MOFI. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for coming. We welcome you. Bayes University is here. Please raise your hand if you are from Bayes University. Let me see where you are. There they are. These are the people we are handing Nigeria over to, and we're very delighted that you could make it. You know, there's everything about identity. If your name is Eugenia, you don't want somebody to call you anything else. So every time I said Nile University, they pretended they couldn't hear me because I got the wrong information that Nile was here. But Bayes is here, loud and strong. Ha! There you are. See? You know, I belong to the youth, so I know what it feels like to be there. Thank you so much for coming. It's time, Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to bring up the next item on the program. This astoundingly brilliant and beautiful lady said in 2022, quote, "They say women never make great leaders, that we're too emotional and we're too soft, but I beg to differ. Nothing is further from the truth," unquote. Many years ago, our famous writer, who has been writing so many books across board, said that she was not interested in anything else. Chimamanda described herself as a woman who is brilliant and feminine, and that there is nothing that says because you are a woman, you should look like a boy because you are brilliant. And so she wears her hair the way she wants, she wears her makeup the way she wants, she dresses like a lady, but she brings in the power. Today we have a woman who brings in the power, understands what time it is, and continues to blaze the trail. In the banking industry, she was instrumental in structuring complex transactions across various sectors, including oil and gas, including aviation, real estate, and export. Please help me welcome Dr. Nneka Onyeli Ikpe, GMD, CEO, Fidelity Bank.
Dr. Nneka Onyeli Ikpe. Dr. Nneka Onyali-Ikpe is the Managing Director and the Chief Executive Officer of Fidelity Bank PLC. With over 30 years of experience in the banking industry, she has held key leadership roles across institutions such as Standard Chartered Bank, Zenith Bank, and Citizens International Bank. She played a pivotal role in transforming Fidelity Bank's Southwest region, driving profitability and contributing over 28% of the bank's performance. Dr. Onyali-Ikpe holds the LLB and LLM degrees from the University of Nigeria Nsukka and King's College London, and has attended prestigious executive programs at Harvard, Wharton, INSEAD, and others. Recognized for her expertise, she was commended by AMCON for her role in turning around Enterprise Bank. She is also an honorary senior member of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Nneka Onyali-Ikpe.
Thank you. Good morning once again. My name, like I said, is Nneka Onyali-Ikpe, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Fidelity Bank, the Chief Servant, they say. My role today is to deliver the keynote address on empowering Nigerian SMEs in a challenging global landscape. And I would love to welcome all your distinguished gentlemen and also to another edition of this series, and to please ask you to permit me to stand on the existing protocol so we can go straight to the point. Everybody is very important. I would like to thank the leadership of DBN, my very dear friend, Dr. Tony Okmanachi, and the board members for inviting me to partake in this, to be part of this event. The DBN, like you well know, plays a very important role in supporting the growth and providing financial services and resources, technical assistance, and other services to critical sectors of the Nigerian economy. My organization, Fidelity Bank, has partnered with the DBN on various initiatives. In the last 3 years, we have disbursed over 61 billion to over 600 MSMEs who are using these funds that were provided by DBN. This effort, I don't want to be humble today, has earned us 2 awards. The Platinum Service Award as an ambassador in 2022, and the bank with the highest impact on startups in 2023. So I sincerely thank the leadership of DBN for supporting us all this while to support the SMEs. If you have been in commercial banking, you would know that an SME cannot, at some point, utilize commercial rates to do business. They really and truly need to grow on funds, intervention funds, and when they stabilize, maybe they can do commercial, but as a startup, it's very difficult. And even at the tender stage of the business, to do business at the commercial rate. However, today's topic is for empowering SMEs in a challenging global landscape, with a view to solving or mentioning, or at least bringing to our attention, the myriad of problems that becloud the segment, and the reason why it's not growing as quickly as it should. But it's a sector that we must pay a lot of attention to, because data published by the SMIDAN, which is the Small, Medium, and Enterprise Development Agency, gives us, the data is that the SMEs account for more than 50% of industrial employment and contribute approximately 48% to the country's GDP. So it's not an area that you can afford to ignore. Despite this very vital role, MSMEs are endangered, and their failure rate is very high in Nigeria and, as a matter of fact, all over the world. Studies have shown that about 80% of the small businesses in Nigeria fail within the first 5 years of operations. This high failure rate can be attributed to various factors, which we are going to dimension today, both from my speech and from the various speakers. The first and foremost is access to finance, which I already mentioned a little bit about. This is a very significant factor hindering the development of MSMEs in Nigeria. According to the studies carried out by PwC, there is a funding gap of $32 billion for SMEs in Nigeria. And like I said, the SMEs in Nigeria, especially at the very early stage, before their cash flows are strong, are unable to deal with their businesses with the commercial rates the banks have now. As you can see, it gets worse by the day. Secondly, these MSMEs do not meet commercial banking risk acceptance criteria, especially at the very early stage. Entrepreneurs often don't meet this acceptance criteria, so they rely on personal savings and borrowings from friends and family to fund their business. This lack of patient capital is a hindrance to business growth. And of course, we all know about the difficult macroeconomic environment in Nigeria right now, and has, for some time now. And this also hinders the growth of SMEs, especially the very unstable foreign exchange rates. Sadly, businesses in Nigeria are import dependent. And this is the rates as it is now are completely dictating. And what we have seen in the industry is that our SMEs do their projections on a particular rate. Before they finish the paperwork, the rate has moved. Before it's time to import, the rate has moved. Before the goods come in, the rates have changed. And the market that's supposed to absorb it is not, their funds, their capacity to buy is reducing. So sometimes I wonder how they cope. So we must clap for them to even be alive. So that is aside from the problems of a lack of amenities. I don't want to speak about the insecurity. I don't want to dwell on it because a lot has been said, and we see what the government is doing to improve on that. But it's a major issue because these our SME customers, cannot even get to the farm gates. They cannot import the things that the local raw materials because they are not producing them anymore. We've had so many SMEs shut down because they can't get the raw materials that they need. But however, we are not giving up. We're not giving up. So all these social problems reduce the time to market, the impact on the ability to produce these goods at a competitive rate in the global scene. So what is happening to the SMEs that we're seeing is that a lot of effort is being put in, yet their products don't come in at a competitive price. So the imported goods are still better priced than theirs. So it's a lot of problems, but like we said, we are not giving up. So the slow legal system is also a problem. We all know how that works. And the bureaucracy in the civil service is also a problem. And the government policies that flip-flop every now and then is also a problem. But I'm one that does not dwell in problems. We continue to look for ways to get these SMEs, to get them moving. When they come to me and they come with the liturgy of problems, I tell them the good sides, that we have a huge population, there is a market for you, just try and do what you can to bring in the goods and to manufacture your goods at a rate that is affordable. So, but the one we think that government can also help is the overtaxation. The multiple taxes that these SMEs have to go through is a major issue. I can tell you that some of them tell me that they have more than 10 or 20 agencies coming to their office for one thing or the other. That in fact, these days, when they know the day the agencies are coming, they lock their door completely and all that. So it's not easy. So we really have to rein these things in if we must grow this SME group, which we know is 80% of the growth of the economy. So, of course, these are not the only issues, really. There are also issues that are personal to the SMEs themselves. They have challenges with financial discipline. I have a particular customer, let me save his name. Every day they tell us about how successful this customer is. But I tell them that in the many years I've dealt with him, what I can attest to is that he never, ever wrote a check on a company name that's personal to him. So I think SMEs to learn to pay themselves, determine what your income, what you should be paid as the chief executive of a business, and then run your needs into it. Because if you have an open check and you keep writing checks on the company, you would never have the financial discipline that you need. Then we've also seen that there's very poor bookkeeping methods amongst the SMEs. So we've had, as a solution to this, we have an SME hub now, which will launch any minute from now. It's a fully integrated hub. We have everything that you need to teach them, both from legal work to bookkeeping and how to do basic things for the company. When we launch, we will give all the details. This is to support our SMEs. It's ready and it will be launched in less than a month from now. So all these inadequate training, which will also solve them, because we also have a place for training over there. Then technophobia. It's not possible for you to do anything without being digital this time. So we noticed that some of the SMEs rather do things in a manual manner. You can't do that because you're not able to track when you're over trading. You're not able to track all manner of problems with the business as it grows. Then, of course, there's a lot of family interference. You want to employ your brother, your sister, and your cousins and all that, and from there things get out of hand. So all these are internal factors, but all these, like I said, are what tells into the fact that our goods are not competitive in the world global space. So we have to try to deal with all these problems so that we can compete. On the export side, where we're very strong as a bank, we have seen that the exporters are struggling because their product, their cash crops are coming out at a much higher price than the whole of the West African market. So smaller countries like Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast, and Ghana are producing cocoa and the likes of them at cheaper prices. So it's an issue that we must address. It's an issue that we must address, or else it will be very difficult for our SMEs to compete. And if they're not able to compete and to sell, then of course it turns into a bad loan and all manner of things that will now end up in AMCON. Okay, so despite these challenges, the SMEs have demonstrated remarkable resilience and adaptability, like I mentioned earlier. We will now discuss the measures that we need to take on this SME space to continue to help them. And the power of training and continuous improvement is one of the greatest legacies of my bank. Like I said, we have put together an SME hub now that will correct all of this, a training center for small businesses to learn all the skills for accounting, taxation, and all of that, so they don't have to hire professionals to do all of that for them. And then we have also the forum that we hold on the radio, which is also in the last 11 years to capacitize them, to let them know what they need to do. That's the work we can do from our own side. But as from the government, we also expect that the government has a significant role to play here. So we expect that there should be a national SME growth policy. So this will be for my dear Fashal to take back. That we need to intentionally establish an SME bank. And what this is meant to do is to ensure that they get funds at a good rate. Even though that will take away our business, but I think we need to deliberately do that. We need to establish more developmental financial institutions like the DFIs that we already have. We have the DBN, we have the BOI, and we have the Bank of Agriculture, but we need to have maybe Bank of Mining and all the areas that we expect. Banking for export specifically, like Nexim has been very helpful. So we need to ensure that these developmental agencies are very well funded, because these SMEs cannot do this business that will impact on the growth of the GDP on the commercial rates. Impossible. It is absolutely impossible. The commercial rates can only be used for things like trading and all of that, but anything that is long-term cannot be done on the commercial rates. So it's important that we pay attention to this, and the SMEs that fall into this category will be helped by the DFIs. So, of course, I've also mentioned the issue of the double taxation, that we need to address that. And then, of course, we have to have tax breaks for new startups. I think the government is working on that already. We have some information that all that is in the cards as a palliative for the economy, that for what has happened, in terms of the difficulties of our customers. I mean, our SME customers. So we also think we should establish a national apprenticeship scheme. Why do I say this? A lot of people, if you notice the traders, the Igbo traders, they all go through the apprenticeship scheme before they start. And I'm sure you know that by the time they finish the apprenticeship scheme, they're perfected in being able to sell their markets. So we really need to do that for all the various sectors. and establish people who have been in that sector to come and coach them of how to do the business so that they don't have to enter into a business blindly, not knowing what the challenges are and not knowing what to expect from the customer. Because for every sector, there's a different spin that you have to spin to be able to sell your market. So they need to be taught the tricks of the game. Okay, so like I said earlier on, I must commend the Nigerian SMEs who have been resilient and dogged, and that they have a never say never spirit, and their can-do spirit has carried them this far despite all the challenges that have not now turned into tornadoes, no longer headwinds. So in closing, I would like to say that the small businesses will not turn into Google and Dangote or flour mills overnight, but small drops of water will make an ocean in good time. So thank you very much, and well done for attending. Thank you for coming.
An absolutely delightful keynote that has taken a close look at MSME in Nigeria. And she has spoken wide about the fact that MSMEs don't have risk assessment criteria for commercial banks. They are import dependent, the issues of insecurity, accessing raw materials, local ones. And she says, I do not dwell on problems. I dwell on seeking the solutions. And has then spoken to government with a representative of His Excellency the Vice President listening about multiple taxes, technophobia, and to intentionally start an SME bank, because with the commercial rates, it's impossible for sustainability for MSMEs. Absolutely delightful, cerebral, beautiful Dr. Nneka Onyali-Ikpe, who is our keynote speaker today and GMD, CEO, Fidelity Bank. Yes, why not? You know, when I was active as executive director in NTA, what I taught young women is that what you need is not just your brain and your beauty. You need some poise that carries you. And we know that our keynote speaker has all of that and more. You know, the way you carry yourself means the way they look at you, assess you, determine who you are, what you bring to the table. Would like to thank you so very much, Dr. Nneka Onyali-Ikpe, GMD, CEO, Fidelity Bank, for giving us the things that we would use to set the tone for the panel and for the discussion that follows therein. I'd like to greet and welcome Dr. Onumo Aristotle Onyemechi, Director Corporate Planning and Strategy, NITA, who is here with us this morning. We thank you for being here. Would like to greet Xavier Muron, Country Director, Nigeria AFD. It's good to see you. And thank you for all the work you do and the support you bring to the table. It's much appreciated. Alhaji Tijani Borodo, 18th President, Chartered Institute of Directors. Thank you very much. When I was making my comment about being an entrepreneur, I took a lot of lessons from our keynote speaker. Don't enter the market that you don't understand. Find somebody to mentor you. Ensure that you know who you are selling to. Find out where your market is. Get some capacity. You know, Development Bank enables, recommends, and supports banks to support the entrepreneurs. And all I've been asking for is just a recommendation. Do you understand? I mean, I'm not asking for a lot. At this point in time, we're going to be going straight to the panel. And as we prepare to go to the panel, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we must understand that in providing what we need to hear in this panel is taking off from the position that the keynote speaker has delivered, and therefore setting alight the room for all of us to learn, relearn, and unlearn how to push the MSMEs forward. Our moderator today is Professor Joseph Nnanna, who serves as the Chief Economist of the Development Bank of Nigeria, PLC. In this capacity, he leads a research, monitoring, and evaluation and sustainability arm of the bank, a seasoned professional with numerous years of experience in the United States in mortgage, banking, manufacturing, and telecommunication, serving in managerial roles before joining the academia. Prior to joining DBN, Professor Nnanna was a tenured professor of business and economics in Oklahoma State. His scholarly works have been published in numerous academic journals, such as Economic Analysis and Policy, Journal of Public Affairs, International Journal of Public Administration, Politics and Policy, Foreign Trade Review, the CBN Bullion, the International Trade Journal, Macroeconomics and Finance in Emerging Market Economies, the Journal of Chinese Economics and Foreign Trade Studies, to name a few. Furthermore, he publishes an op-ed piece every quarter in Business Day newspaper, where we meet because I'm also a columnist in Business Day. He is also an editorial board member for the Society for Corporate Governance of Nigeria and a member of the AFC-FTA National Action Committee for Nigeria. In 2020, Professor Nnanna contributed a book chapter in the European Investment Bank's publication entitled Banking in Africa, Financing Transformation Amid Uncertainty with Fellow Economists, and in 2021 published a book entitled Banking in Nigeria, Financing During Turbulent Times. Has a Bachelor of Business Administration, MBA degrees in accounting, a master's degree in economics, and a doctorate degree in corporate governance and economics from Southwestern University. Help me welcome this gentleman who is our moderator today. And he comes eminently qualified to hold this position to discuss the issues that have brought us all together today. Professor Nnanna. Professor Nnanna will be introducing our esteemed panelists, and it's a really exciting group of persons, personalities, diverse backgrounds and expertise who would bring their knowledge, expertise to the table as panelists. Let's hand over to the moderator for the day, Professor Nnanna.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everyone. I was hoping to expect a response. How are you guys doing today? Okay, good. So without further delay, I'm just going to welcome the panelists one by one. And typically, I would recapitulate what the keynote speaker, my boss, Dr. Tony Okpanachi, the Vice President's representative, Dr. Tokpe Fashua, has elucidated on today. But Eugenia has done a fantastic job in trying to summarize these points for us. But I will still kind of repeat some of what she said to lead us right into the panel conversation, because I think this is quite important to dissect. Our first panelist, by the name of Abba Abubakar Aliyu, he's the MD CEO of Rural Electrification Agency of Nigeria. Please join me in welcoming him up on stage.
Abba Abubakar Aliyu is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Rural Electrification Agency, REA. He brings extensive experience to the role, having previously led the $550 million Nigerian electrification project funded by the World Bank and African Development Bank. As a pioneer staff member of the Nigeria Bulk Electricity Trading PLC, he also held key positions at Nigeria Security Printing and Minting, ASO Savings and Loan, WaterAid, and Family Health International. Abba was recognized by Microsoft at the 2009 Business Transformation Award for his work in performance management systems. Most recently, he spearheaded the design of the world's largest public sector off-grid project, the $750 million Distributed Access through Renewable Energy Scale-Up Initiative, set to launch in 2024. Under his leadership, over 150 mini-grids and 1.5 million solar home systems have been deployed across Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Abba Abubakar Aliyu.
The media team, please, can we get the next panelist?
Nkemdilim Uwaje Bego. Nkemdilim is a seasoned information technology professional with over 15 years of cross-sector experience in Nigeria, Africa's largest emerging economy. As CEO of Future Software Resources Limited, FutureSoft, she leads one of Nigeria's foremost digital and technology solutions companies, serving over 200 clients across 20 industries and training over 1,500 CEOs, executives, and board members. Nkemdilim has driven digital marketing and transformation projects across Africa, enhancing customer experiences, optimizing operations, and fostering bottom-line growth. Recognized globally, she has earned accolades as an Obama Africa Leader, Forbes Top 10 Female Tech Founders in Africa, and Global Digital Women's Top 10 Most Inspiring Women in Africa. She serves on the boards of Stanbic IBTC Holdings, Novara Investment Fund, and the Lagos State Research and Innovation Council. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nkemdilim Uwaje Bego. Ajuma Ataguba. Ajuma Ataguba is the Managing Director of the Founder Institute Abuja and a venture partner at White Hibiscus Capital. She also serves as the principal consultant at the Learning Gates TLG, a consulting firm that leverages over 30 years of experience to help startups, SMEs, corporations, government, and development partners launch products and execute successful programs in Nigeria's technology, agriculture, and education sectors. With over 3 decades of experience, spanning the public, private, and non-profit sectors, Ajuma has worked with organizations such as the EU, USAID, ITC, IFAD, VCPD, and FMARD. She holds a degree in estate management and certifications in social entrepreneurship from Wharton and Copenhagen Business School. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ajuma Ataguba. Ajayi Joshua Oluwatobi. Joshua Oluwatobi is a visionary in Nigeria's automobile industry. After studying soil sciences and farm mechanization at Olabisi Onabanjo University and completing his MBA at Lagos Business School, Toby resigned from Mercedes-Benz in 2015 to pursue his dream of creating a world-class Nigerian auto brand. His decision followed trips to Mercedes-Benz factories in Europe and Asia, where he realized that Africans could build globally competitive vehicles. In April 2015, Toby co-founded Jetvan Automobiles Limited to elevate Mercedes CEO until 2018. He left to establish his own company, Nord Automobile Limited. Durable, cost-efficient, and elegant vehicles that rival any in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Joshua Oluwatobi Ajayi.
Okay, so here we have it, our distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen. So, as I earlier said, I would typically recapitulate what the previous speakers have said, but I'll only take some highlights of each individual's remarks. First, my boss, Dr. Tony Okpanachi, he rolled out the macroeconomic challenges, which I will dissect further as I interrogate the panelists. But more importantly, he highlighted the impact of the DBN's activities from inception till date, the billions we've pushed out, the thousands, hundreds of thousands we've been able to finance through, of course, our participating financial institutions in the room here tonight, and of course, all across Nigeria. The Vice President's representative, Dr. Tokpe Fashua, he highlighted the numerous, or rather, shall I say, the plethora of activities in which the federal government has done so far this year, well, at least since inception of their administration coming in May last year, regarding skills acquisitions, youth academy, financing MSMEs, let's not forget the nano enterprises, and so on. So this, in my humble view, is a laudable work that the federal government has done so far. Last but certainly not the least, we have our keynote speaker, the MD of Fidelity Bank, Dr. Onyeka. She was very practical, and I thoroughly enjoy practical approaches to solving solutions. She doesn't dwell on problems, she focuses on solutions, which is why we're here, and we're going to dissect some of those potential solutions as panel members here. To be sure, the need for a change in the mindset of MSMEs, technological digital skills acquisition, having governance around your respective companies. Don't hire your father, your mother, your brother, your sister. The business will die. MSMEs, and this speaks to the heart of my feelings about Nigeria and MSMEs generally. MSMEs in Nigeria tend to be at a competitive, or rather a comparative disadvantage amongst peer countries around West Africa. Talk less of Northern Africa or Europe and so on. And this has a lot to do with the government policies, but more importantly, it also has a lot to do with access to finance and also skills acquisition, or if you like, capacity building. She focused on some potential solutions. She said SME banks needs to be created. She mentioned a mining bank and so on. She said a national apprenticeship scheme. And let's not forget an SME growth policy. So these were the practical, or should I say pragmatic, propositions she brought to bear. So ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for all these previous speakers. Now, with that in mind, I'm just going to jump to the crux of it. We know the macroeconomic landscape in Nigeria, but globally is quite challenged. Inflation is still sticky up, 32%, and in my view, climbing. Interest rate. Well, the central bank yesterday just hiked up MPR again by 50 basis points. CRR, 50 basis points to commercial banks, 16% to merchant banks. That puts a squeeze on the financial system, more importantly, but it also hampers the ability of these banks to support MSMEs broadly. And access to finance is the name of the game, as one of the propositions why we're here. But in general, let's talk about practical skills or practical solutions that we can actually put to bear. So without further ado, I will point to my right, the lovely Nkem Dilim. I have a question for you, ma'am. In the context of the digital economy, how can Nigerian MSMEs integrate technology to enhance their competitiveness and scale? What role should development finance institutions play in providing the necessary infrastructure and, of course, technical support for this digital transformation? I say this in the light of what the keynote speaker opined earlier regarding acquiring digital skills, changing the mindset, and so on. Over to you.
Hello? Okay. Thank you very much. So I think the statement about the mindset really is the key driver, and for me the key word here, because I think if you don't have a digital-first mindset as an entrepreneur, chances are your business will not survive the next 5 years, right? So I think that is important to understand, that growth and technology are interlinked, and digital needs to be your strategy for scale and for growth. And I think that is then linked with seeing technology as a CapEx item and not as an OpEx item, right? So technology is an investment. It's not just, an expense. So I think it's really important to, first of all, have that as a basis. And then I think there are key areas that actually enable an SME, right? So number one is your operations. You want to make sure that your operations are as automated as possible, that you've integrated technology into your customer relationship management, your supply chain management, your general operations, your accounting, your bookkeeping, and so on. And you want to also make sure that you have a sales channel if you're a retail and product-based business, right? Which means that you need some type of e-commerce platform, you need a payment gateway so that you can actually collect funds, right? And whether this is, selling on social media, a lot of MSMEs actually sell on Instagram and Facebook through direct messages, right? And then they just give their banking details, or they have a platform that they've built. So I think these are sort of the key areas that they need to embrace. And the last one, I think, is data. And that, I think, is one area that we overlook a lot, not just in MSMEs, but also in big organizations, right? So I think the more data you have, the better your decision-making can be. And in terms of the role of the DFIs, I think the main thing really is, how do you provide financial support for this technology adoption and this digital transformation within the MSMEs? How do you make sure that they have access to grants or low-interest loans to actually support this digital transformation? Because unfortunately, technology costs money and it is expensive. Another thing is, you talked about infrastructure. I think that's a really big area that DFIs can, really look at. Broadband, data centers. How do you make sure that that critical infrastructure is being built, or that organizations that are building that critical infrastructure are actually being properly supported? And I think the last thing really is around the digital skills, like you mentioned, right? How do you ensure that you build capacity and you give technical assistance to your MSMEs that are already within your ecosystem, that you're already giving loans to? Because the truth is, like I said, if they don't embrace technology, that business is going to be dead, and whatever loans and support you've given is going to be in vain. So I think that is really, really key to ensure, that technology support is there through having maybe consultants at hand that can help the MSMEs guide them in the right direction, as well as having master classes and workshops so that they can start understanding the technology, right? Like the keynote speaker said, a lot of MSMEs don't have the money to hire an expensive consultant. They need to do it themselves. And a lot of technology, you can DIY it, but you need to understand what it is before you can do that.
Thank you very much for your comprehensive response. Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause. I think one of the salient points here was technology is an investment and not really an expense. And a lot of times we look at that as, oh my goodness, I have to spend money on this. And that mindset in itself becomes a problem going forward in every enterprise, whether you're a small or a large enterprise. So thank you for your response. My second question is pivoting over to Abba, the MD CEO of REA. With the government's investments in modernizing the power grid, what measurable impact do you foresee on MSME operationalization, efficiency, and productivity? Are there any complementary interventions or reforms needed to maximize the benefits of improved energy infrastructure for the MSME sector? Keep in mind, the power is a major expenditure now, not just for MSMEs, for households too. So put that in context and kindly respond comprehensively, sir.
Thank you very much. So you rightly captured it, the cost of electricity, the impact of that cost to our businesses. When I was sitting listening to all the discussion, I was expecting to see that that electricity cost was well highlighted. Taking into account, for example, if you look at the data, the households and businesses in Nigeria spent between 12 to 20 billion US dollars per annum to power their businesses or their household. So imagine addressing that gap or providing that electricity. In terms of, to answer your question, I just want to give a typical example, a real life example. 200 kilometers from where we are is a community called Nasarawa Toto. And this is a community that has been in existence and without electricity since the period of Solomon La, when Nasarawa and Plateau were the same state. They had distribution infrastructure, but something happened to that distribution infrastructure, and it cut off that entire community without electricity for over a decade. This is also a community with about 30,000 people, with over 3,000 households. In REA's work, which is to provide electricity to communities underserved or unserved community, we identified that community and we went to that community, did a demand analysis of what is their electricity need in that community. And we came back with about 300 kilowatt as the base load. And we projected an increase in that electricity, if we provide that electricity, an increase of about 50 kilowatt. So in the end, we provided them with about 360 kilowatt. Within a year, just 1 year, we are facing a serious problem in that community. And that problem is, in my own opinion, is a very positive problem. The total demand of electricity in that community is over 2 megawatts. This is as a result. So we have to go back to ask ourselves, is it that our initial analysis that was wrong, or what exactly happened? And to answer that question, it is just as a result of coming off of small and nano businesses within that community. From our estimate, we identified over 6 ice cream making businesses that came into that community, about 16 tailoring shops that came into that community, about 7 welding shops that emerged also to that community. And what's also interesting fact about that is that most of these people are not even residents of the Nasarawa Toto. They came from a different community based on the reliable electricity that is being provided within that community. So this, to me, a simple answer to your question, what needs to be done to maximize this benefit to the small and medium enterprises, is nothing other than providing communities, SMS hubs with reliable, sustainable electricity. If we provide them with that, most of the challenges being faced by these smaller business enterprises will be addressed. And the REA's way of providing this electricity is going out of the main grid. We know the challenge that we are experiencing with the main grid. The cost of building 1 kilometer of transmission line is about $1.5 million. And to enhance the level of the existing transmission line in the country to achieve the capacity that we want, you need to build tens of thousands of kilometers of transmission line. So our own way is going out of the transmission line, going to this community, putting out the generation plant, distribution plant, and providing these communities with reliable, sustainable, environmentally friendly electricity. The distribution renewable energy framework is one of the most important aspects of work that the government can leverage on to maximize, to help the small and medium enterprises to operate in the country. Thank you.
I appreciate that candid response. Out of curiosity, what is the cost per kilowatt hours? Do you have an idea?
So and this is another myth that normally we tend to say in the communities. Before the recent increase of the Band A tariff, the rural communities, the small and business enterprises in the rural communities pay for electricity at a tariff much higher than what all of you sitting here are paying. And the level of our collection is over 95%. Over 95%. They pay much more than what you are paying, and the commercial losses is far much lesser than what we have on grid.
Thank you, sir, for your response. Okay, so over to you, Ajuma. You're the MD of Founder Institute, so maybe you talk to us about startups and so on. So, recognizing the potential of high-growth, tech-driven startups, what policy frameworks or perhaps fiscal incentives are critical to fostering innovation within the MSME space? Additionally, how can traditional sectors adopt technology-driven models to stay relevant in a rapidly evolving market? Over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Yeah, so high growth startups have their own peculiarities. Now, these are startups that are leveraging software as a service. These are startups that have the goal and objective of achieving cumulative annual growth rates of about 40% and above. And this therefore means that, you know, for startups in this category, they require, you know, a different kind of policy, regulation and support. For example, the fintechs that, you know, they need special licensing from CBN to be able to operate. Now, what has happened prior to 2022 is that that sector has not been regulated, and these startups are not necessarily brick and mortar, so they are operating on the internet, and their customers, they aggregate their customers, you know, online. And so the right infrastructure, even the technology backbone, is needed to help, you know, with the support. And therefore, we need government to have certain policies in place to build that technology backbone, and also to provide the necessary support in terms of capacity building, access to funding that they'll need, which is patient capital, which is not the regular type of funding that you'll get through the commercial banks. And so in 2022, thankfully, we had the Startup Act, which was signed into law. And that has, you know, sort of helped now to begin to provide support to that sector in the area of access to funding, in the area of capacity building, and also providing of infrastructure. Now, that act, in terms of implementation, is domiciled with NITDA, and therefore, you know, in order to have these objectives be properly harnessed and achieved, then NIDA will need to partner with the private sector to have this, you know, support driven. And so at Founder Institute, what we do is we're a startup school for tech driven, you know, ideas. So we typically will take the startups from idea to exit. We have a robust curriculum. Over a 4-month period, we're able to help these startups literally de-risk their ideas so that they become fundable and attractive to investors. And what it is literally a venture capital infrastructure, which we have. And so we want to see more of that support, you know, for that sector. by way of even tax breaks for the tech startups that go through, the program that become investment ready. Also tax breaks or incentives for the VCs who are operating. As it is now, most of the venture funds are coming from the Western world. So we're hoping that, the finance sector will begin to look at this new asset class and invest likewise.
All right, thank you very much. So for the folks in the room who are startups or in the ideation phase, Juma might be the best person to speak to after this panel, so don't let her get by you. I'm sorry, I don't mean to.
It's okay, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so I have one question for the chairman and CEO of Nord Automobiles, Oluwatobi. This is quite serendipitous because a couple of years ago we had the chairman of Innocent Motors here. And I don't know whether it's serendipitous or if it's just a strategic plan by our team internally to bring another automobiles CEO here. But I think it's quite instructive he's here anyway. Oluwatobi, my question is, with the government's recent policy shift towards compressed natural gas as an alternative fuel source, how are local players in the automobile industry positioning to capitalize on this transition? That's one. And from your perspective, what are the key economic operational challenges facing local automobile manufacturers in adopting CNG technology? And finally, I know this is loaded, I apologize. And what policy measures or financial instruments do you believe are necessary to support MSMEs in this sector to ensure a smooth and sustainable transition? Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Prof. I'm a big supporter of CNG. Even before the government started the CNG program, I've always believed Nigeria is, I've heard it so many times, that Nigeria is a gas nation with drops of oil. I read somewhere that we have about 200 trillion cubic feet of gas reserve, one of the highest in the world. And if you look around you in the global market, the countries that are progressing, the countries that are developing, or the countries that have developed are always using their strengths. They always harness their strengths. They always push for what they have in abundance. And as a country where we have a lot of gas, instead of flaring our gas, I've always believed that we have to use that to power our homes, and in my case, for my industry, power automobile, power the movement of people and goods and services from one point to another. Now, gas without subsidy is significantly more affordable than petrol. It's about 25% of the cost of the petrol that takes you from one point to another. So, most of the reasons why we have inflation in the country, apart from the cost of food, is also the cost of moving food items, goods and services from one point to another. So imagine a situation where the cost of a very important item in transportation, which is the fuel, is reduced by as much as 75%. Imagine what we will do to our economy. So I've always been a big supporter of this, and when the government started it, I was very happy about it, because I feel that this is what Nigeria needs to do, and this is where we need to go. And for us, like your question, what are the auto players doing? All of us are keen into it because we know that this is what the country needs. Most of our factories have started, not only Nord, even my competitors, those in our industry, have started equipping their factories to be able to make CNG compliant vehicles. And your question, what are the challenges? Yes, we have a lot of challenges because we understand that it's an initiative that is very dependent on the government support. This is not one of those things where the private sector can do it alone. We need the government to actually support it and champion it. And if we don't get that, we're not going to be able to do this. And one of the reasons is, for example, you go to a customer and say, a transporter, for example, and say, okay, you move your vehicle from point A to... One of the reasons why they don't buy enough, again, is they say that the number of people that move from one point to another have reduced because of the cost of transporting from one point to another. So you say, okay, I can help you solve that problem, right? I can build you a vehicle that uses CNG. So instead of spending 60,000 naira from Lagos to Benin, for example, you're going to spend just 15,000 naira. He's very excited. But then he asks you, okay, if you do this for me, the CNG, how do I fill up my CNG vehicle? How do I fill up my CNG buses? Yeah, you may have a CNG bus somewhere in Lagos, but I need to fill up 2 or 3 times before I get to Benin. I need to fill up 2 or 4 or 5 more times before I get to Abuja. So that's a problem for them. So, and this is something that we cannot do on our own. We need the government from the NNPC, both upstream and downstream, to get the gas to every point in Nigeria. Like I said, Rome was not built in a day. So we are going to take it step by step. We can start from every major city, maybe from every major city, or maybe let's say every maybe 50 or 100 kilometers. You know that you're going to have a CNG refilling station on your way to Abuja, on your way to Kanu, on your way to Jigawa, everywhere. With this, there will be more trust in the environment, in the system. People would be able to purchase more, and it will become very successful. Another question he asked again is what kind of financing interventions are required? Of course, at the moment, the keynote speaker mentioned it, you mentioned it already, everybody mentioned it. The CBN yesterday increased the interest rate. It's already, right now, almost nobody is willing to borrow at the commercial rate to do business. And CNG is new, in Nigeria at least. And for everything that is new, you need investment. So now how do people get the funds for this investment? Most times you have to go for debt. Now people are saying, I cannot do that 30-something% for a product or for a program that we're not sure if there will be a policy somersault. Because I can give you an example. Okay, I don't want to mention numbers, but the equipment required and the kits required to actually have a very world-class CNG center runs into billions of naira. Now, we've invested that because we believe that this is the way to go. We believe that this is what Nigeria needs. We cannot have a gas infrastructure or gas plan where people just need to pay 25% of what they've been paying, and people won't do that. So for us, we've done investment, but for other people, it's a bit more difficult. It's a little more harder to convince their investors or the market to invest these billions of naira if you are not sure that the policy will remain the same. So we need the policy somersault to actually stop. We need the government to actually say CNG is here to stay, and it will stay. So people can invest and believe that their investment will actually deliver the results. Thank you very much.
That is a fantastic response to the question, sir. Thank you, Oluwatobi. But let me add this, though. Sometimes it's like the chicken and the egg situation. So, like in the US, Elon Musk, when he started with this electric vehicle gambit, a lot of folks, especially in the oil and gas industry, thought this is a fool's errand. It's not going to work. Where are you going to charge your cars? But he had a robust plan where he's going to build the cars and have points at every truck stop across the US where you can charging points. And he invested in this, and now the world is playing catch up. So now, I'm not saying you should do this. I'm encouraging you. Perhaps instead of competing with your fellow automobile folks, why don't you guys agree as an association, let's combine our efforts here and put this all over the country.
So, no, you're thinking ahead. We've done that already.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, we've done that already. We have some names, but some of the players, some of the biggest players in the auto industry, along with myself, we've come together to actually set up an XPV. So we're working with the NNPC to set up refueling stations along each major highway. So in case the government doesn't, we will do our best.
Ladies and gentlemen, I saw the future. Okay, so this is an open question to any panelist who feels they're courageous enough to respond. I'm not forcing you, but I like to throw up this question from time to time, just to, shake things up a bit. Then afterwards, I will throw it open to anybody here in the audience willing to ask questions. Keep in mind, we're kind of time constrained, so we'll take maybe 2-3 questions at the most. And online, if there are any questions, 2 or 3 at the most. It's not my fault, people. It's just the time. Okay, so here's a free question for any courageous panelist. Given the high cost of capital and stringent lending criteria, which are further, and I'm happy that the MDC of Fidelity Bank is here. She might find this question interesting. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate that. So given the high cost of capital and stringent lending criteria, which are further exacerbated by the global economic headwinds, what specific financial instruments or perhaps blended finance models would you recommend making financing more accessible for MSMEs? Keep in mind, we know they're the engine of economic growth, and yet they're the ones who have the least access to capital. Oh, Abba, a courageous man, go for it.
No, it's just because already we are implementing a blended financing framework, and I'm happy that you asked the question, and the MD Fidelity Bank is here. The way she requested the federal government, we will also ask the banks to do the same, to play in this light. The federal government provided a funding of $550 million as capital subsidy, which REA implemented in 2 ways. One, as a subsidy to MSMEs who are in the business of providing electricity, for them to have an opportunity to get the electricity at a lower cost and provide the service to the community. And the second one is also for the SMSEs that are benefiting the electricity to get it at a lower tariff. So we implemented the $550 million, and we were able to deploy about 156 mini grids across the country, one of which is the one in Nasarantoto that I referenced. Based on the success of that, the current government also worked to crystallize the biggest public sector renewable energy funding, $750 million, which is about to start in the next 2 weeks. And this is also to be used as a capital subsidy for small and medium businesses that are into business of electricity, and at the same time for them to provide electricity to communities and businesses at a lower cost. Now, the most interesting thing that we have seen is what we do is we sign agreement with these businesses. Once we sign the agreement, they will go on, because it's a performance based. They perform, then based on the performance, we give them capital subsidy. Now, our grant agreement is a bankable document. Now, the challenge to the Nigerian banks, including Dbn and Fidelity, is why is it that we see foreign banks, foreign financiers leveraging on this grant agreement and providing the the businesses with development financing, equipment financing, even before they get the subsidy, for them to be able to have a working capital to deploy the mini grid, then at the end of the year, get their grant and pay back the debt. right? In fact, one most interesting thing that we have seen is a foreign bank who, in among their shareholder, is the biggest Chinese bank. This innovative foreign bank created a means whereby the small business in Nigeria that signs a grant agreement with REA will have a direct sight or direct discussion with tier 1 manufacturers of PV panels in China. The bank has among the shareholders a Chinese bank. And the Chinese bank, among their shareholders, is the world tier 1 manufacturers of PV panels in China. So they cut about 17 middlemen across the value chain and create a way whereby any developer or any business that sign an agreement with REA will be speaking with tier 1 manufacturers of PV panels in China. And at the same time, even the logistics company. So these are part of the blended financings that we are doing. Apart from the $750 million, we have also crystallized a funding with International Finance Corporation of $100 million, which provides also project development costs to businesses in Nigeria that are into the business of electricity for them to get that funding, develop the mini grids, and come back and get the grant and pay back the IFC. So this is the reality that is taking place. The Nigerian banks have not really been in the game, but we have started seeing a lot of the Nigerian banks because there is need for local currency financing. And to conclude is also to say that the Nigerian government has also mitigated the FX risks, which a lot of financiers will say that, okay, if I give you Naira and you go and buy an equipment base, which is FX based, there is that FX risk. And we mitigated that risk by paying the grant in FX. So there is no any risk apart from ensuring that there is delivery from the developer perspective. So this is what the federal government is doing.
Thank you for your comprehensive response. I know Ike Delim wants to take a stab at the question, so go for it.
Thank you very much. I think also when we look at the global MSME ecosystem, we see that a lot of MSMEs, in order to scale, are actually going very alternative routes, right? We see MSMEs doing crowdsourcing and crowdfunding initiatives, right? Where they say, this is our product is not in production yet, but you can pre-order it. If you pay this amount, you get the first item once it comes out. That way they actually raise the funds to produce, and they already have customers immediately, right? That's a really great way to actually test whether your product is fit for market, right? And whether people are willing to pay for it at the rate that you've pegged it, right? As well as unlocking the finance that you actually require to go to market. Another thing that we're seeing is that a lot of more MSMEs and especially startups are being financed and invested in by angel networks. So there are a lot of Nigerian as well as Pan-African angel networks that not only do actual early stage investments, but also help with providing debt at much, much lower rates, right? And making sure that the startups that and the MSMEs that they're supporting are actually supported not only with money, but also with capacity building and other additional access to networks, access to customers, and things like that that they may need. And then I think the last part really is a lot of MSMEs, right, are actually solving problems that are aligned with the SDGs. And if you have that type of company, then there's a lot of, number one, philanthropic funding that is available to you. And the second one is actual social impact funding that is available to you. Those type of fundings are usually much more friendly than commercial funding, right? And they're focused on actually also helping you. So it usually comes with additional capacity building and additional access to network, access to market that you can then use. So I think it's really about what type of MSME are you, and can you explore alternative models that are not within the actual commercial banking space. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your response. Okay, so now did you want to take a stab at a question too?
Yes.
Wow, we can go on and on and on. Let's just move on if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I feel like I was favoring my right. Let me favor my left now. How about that?
That's fine.
Okay, so here's the deal. I feel like it's important to have the audience members here take a stab at any questions you may have to any one of us on the panel. But first of all, I already received a couple online because we have quite a bunch of people online tuning in live. Oh my goodness. I spoke too early. Let me preface by saying we cannot answer all these questions right now, but we'll try as much as possible to run right through it. So Ajuma, over to you. What specific steps are you taking as the Founder Institute's MD to support and sustain MSMEs at the early stage? Just kind of give us a few steps. That way some of the people here have an appreciation for what you do and why you do it.
Okay, so our goal is to help the SMEs become fundable and attractive to investors. So we help them, with ideation, go-to-market strategies, and take them through a company building process with the help of CEO mentors, who bring experiential knowledge to what they're doing. And they're plugged into our network of investors. So for those who need to fundraise, they're able to access our venture capital network to help grow their businesses.
Thank you very much. I'm laughing because there are just more questions coming in, and I don't know if we have enough time. But for the second question online is to Abba. Abba, you seem to be very popular these days. So over to you, sir. Please, what is the plan or reform that you at REA have for the electricity supply in some parts of the country? Is chasing entrepreneurs and startups out due to the high cost of production using fuel, or petrol in this case. So what hope do you have for some of the SMEs? That's what they want to know. And I say this, I'm asking this question because you've mentioned a small community in Nasarawa State. Can you just highlight the respective states and local governments, if you will, where REA is making direct intervention? That way the online folks could have a better appreciation for the work you're doing.
So there's no single local government in Nigeria where there's no REA intervention, be it mini grid, be it provision of solar home system, be it extension of the grid. What plan we have is the DES program, which is distributed access through renewable energy scale-up, a $750 million, where we plan to electrify 17.5 million Nigerians. 3 million through isolated mini grids, 1.5 million through interconnected mini grids, and about 12 million through solar home system and mesh grid. And this is the project that is about to start in the next 2 weeks. Funding has been secured. Everything on ground is just to kickstart. So that is the plan that we have for the country. And there's a special focus. All the interconnected mini grids, which we're going to have about 1,200 of mini grids, the focus is on anchor load. And anchor load is looking at where there is clusters of small businesses to put it there and then electrify the communities around those economic clusters. That is the plan we have.
Thank you very much for that. So another question is from, this is for you, Nkindilim. Yeah. As said, digital tools should be seen as an investment instead of an expense. For small businesses online who can't afford e-commerce platforms such as, I can't read the writing, but which alternatives should they use for the businesses online in order for them to scale? So this is like an advice, if you will.
All right. Thank you very much for the question. So there are actually platforms that are provided by some of the payment gateway providers as well as by some of the banks, where as an MSME, you can go onto that platform, you can get access to an online store at no cost, and you upload your products, and they provide you with a payment gateway, and you start selling, right? So those would be alternatives to actually creating your own online store. At the end of the day, I think that the important thing is that you still have to drive sales, right? So regardless of whether you have this for free or whether you've actually paid money to build this, you still need to drive sales, which means that there is still an investment required in terms of digital adverts, in terms of just making sure that you have brand awareness and people actually understand what your product is, especially if it's a product that maybe isn't a must-have. So I think there are a lot of options. Some people also just use Instagram to sell, right? So they post their products, they have little ads, and you say, hey, I want this lamp. They say, okay, no problem, the lamp costs 20,000 naira, transfer to this account. You do the transfer, you give them your delivery address, and in 2 hours you have your lamp, right? So my mom always laughs at me. She's like, oh, where did you buy that? Instagram? I'm like, yeah, I buy almost everything on Instagram, simply because there are so many small businesses with so many amazing products. And what I've realized is that the customer experience that you actually get from these small businesses is so much better than what you get from big e-commerce platforms. So, I think just be creative, figure out what works for you as a business, and explore the existing platforms that are out there that are for free, and that come with additional support, sometimes with training in terms of how do you even sell online, and things like that. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much. Some of the questions here are talking about how to access credit and so on. And this, to me, is just go to the respective institution's website, speak to an account officer or relationship manager, and they'll walk you through the individual processes without reading out the questions. The next question is around most Nigerians who are into MSMEs seem to be too busy to be aware of the existence of loans for assistance in their businesses and so on. How do we make it easier, create more awareness to access credit, especially if you're an angel, to speak angel investors or private equity partners? So I will answer that first, then I'll open it up for colleagues here in case they want to throw more light on that. So DBN actually has an annual Techpreneur Summit. And here we have angel investors and venture capitalists and bankers actually present who actually want to meet entrepreneurs and understand their business needs and so on. So check out for DBN on Techpreneur Summits. It happens annually. Check our website for more information to get this in order for you to be part of the experience. But over to you. Oluwatobi, you want to throw light on this? About being able to access grants, funding, loans, debt, or even equity.
Okay. I think you did justice to it, but to just add a bit of more point is, first of all, lack of credit or inadequate of it, or of capital, sorry, it's a big problem for entrepreneurs in Nigeria. And it's something that most people are facing. So the way to solve it is to actually do a bit more networking, like you said, attend events like this, attend events where you'll probably be able to meet potential investors, be more active on social media, LinkedIn, make sure you have a good reputation, because most times when investors want to invest, they want to invest in the person, in the team that's going to run the company. The idea is also good, but they understand that if the team or the person running the idea is not good enough, the idea will fail. So you have to be able to build a good reputation and sustain it, just guard it jealously. Network. And I have to be honest with you, there's a bit of luck there. Thank you.
That's true. A lot of luck and grace is in business all the time. So I have two more questions before we close the panel, because I know we have to move on to other things. But this one is from Precious Sweet Bakery. I don't know. I said the whole name because it sounded interesting. So on empowering MSMEs, can we have more solutions on and understanding about loans and rates? So the question is this: who amongst the panel has gone out to take loans, and essentially, how did you manage these loans in these economic headwinds? That's essentially the question. Anybody? I'm going to go to you because I know you've taken a loan.
Okay, so yes, I have to say something. Most times, when I started Nord in 2017. After working in Mercedes-Benz for a while, I had a very fast career. At 24, I was the youngest manager in Middle East and Africa for Mercedes-Benz. So, thank you very much. So
That's actually worthy of clapping.
Thank you very much. So at 29, I started Nord, and you understand, I thought, because I had some money, and I thought the money was enough, so I was a bit arrogant. So then I went into it, and I thought the money would last me forever. Like, I wouldn't need anybody's money. I wouldn't come in 100%. Because I spoke to some people, and they didn't think at that time that Nigeria could do what we're doing now, which is build our own cars. So I said, don't worry, I'll do this myself, and I wouldn't need anybody's money. And within maybe 6 months, the money was the money was gone. So I was in Lagos Business School then, and I used to tell everybody in my class about my dream, and they loved it. But at the point, I said, you know what, I'm going to, because this is very expensive. The machines are expensive. You know, when you go to all the OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, to buy items, they will tell you there's minimum order. So even if you want to buy one, they don't care. You have to buy like 100 or the rest. So I didn't have the money. I said, okay, you know what, I'll still be an entrepreneur, but I'll probably go into farming and the rest. And I said, no, I'm going to link you up to somebody. So unlike most people where they got their first funding, okay, I use my money first. That's the first thing. Most times you go to angel investors, family and friends. That didn't happen to me. A bank, actually, a commercial bank, actually gave me my very first money. It was something that most people didn't. I didn't even believe it. But I met the CEO. He came for an event at Lagos Business School, and okay, let me mention the bank's name. It's Sterling Bank. You know, I met Abubakar Sulaiman, and he picked interest in me. I was less than 30 then, you can imagine. And I told him that I was very tired. And he said, no, this bank will die. Your business won't die. So he gave me the first money. And this loan was supposed to be for 4 months. It was a very short loan. It was just, okay, at that time I had used about 100 million of my money to build this thing. And there was no money to bring in the tests, the first, what do you call it, MVP, you know, the best product. So he gave me money to bring in that product because everything was done just to bring it to the customers who want to see what you can build. So they gave me this money. It was less than 50 million at that time. It was for 4 months, and I did it, and I paid back in 3 months. So that's the beginning of good things. So after, the bank offered to keep on funding me. You know, I started asking for better rates because the rate was very expensive, because you have to understand, I was very risky at that time. So the rate was very expensive. So I started asking for better rate. Then somebody in my church heard about me and said, no, don't go to Sterling again. I'll give you the money. So the person in my church gave me the money, and we did a profit sharing. So after that profit sharing, I made money. My balance sheet was good. Then some guys from the UK came, and they invested in Nord, and that's it. So the lesson there is this: just keep doing what you're doing, have a very good name, have a good reputation. Let people know that if they give you 1 naira, it won't get missing. That your 1 naira will come back. Just And one way or the other, because there's finance, people are just looking for the right places to put this money. And like I said, pray for some luck too.
Thank you very much for your experience and your responses. So I've gone through a plethora of these questions, and a lot of them have to do with accessing finance. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of exhibition booths here with a lot of the PFIs on standby who are willing to take your questions on how to go through the credit appraisal process of accessing credit in the respective organizations. That said, this last gentleman talked about he's a startup, he's struggling, he needs funding. Please go to the exhibition booth and they'll answer your questions there. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my time. Thank you for listening.
Okay, so that's the first photograph of the day. I'd ask you to please remain up there where I would now like to invite the Managing Director, CEO, Dr. Tony Okpanachi, who is coming to give certificates of participation. They're pretty elegant, and when he's done with you, we'll call our big fish, the keynote speaker, to come forward for that as well. Please don't block the pictures. Just put it to the side. Put the podium to the side, and the MD will make his way up. Abba Abubakar Aliyu, certificate of participation coming up right now. I'd like him to step forward. And if you will stand to the right of the podium for the pictures, away from the other panelists, please. Dr. Tony, thank you. So that way the picture will capture just you and him for now. Thank you very much. And would like to invite the next panelist, Ajuma Ataguba, to step forward to collect hers. And I would like, yes. So that's her certificate of participation, truly worthy of being put on a wall. And I'd like to invite Nkem Delim Bega to come forward, please. And after that, we would like to invite Joshua Luatobi to step forward and collect. I'd like to invite our elegant keynote speaker to please step forward and collect her certificate of participation. I'd like the panelists and the moderator to remain slightly idle while the certificate of participation is given to the managing director for passing on behalf of all of us to the keynote speaker who is making her way to the managing director at this time. And that is one of the highlights of today's event. If we retrieve the certificate, have both managing directors take a photograph. MD, please, don't go away first. So that photograph between DBN and MD Fidelity Bank is a photograph that's a sure win, after which I'd like to invite panelists and moderators to join this important photograph in a short while. Professor Nana, have you returned to your seat? Now it's time for moderator. Professor Nana, back on stage, please. Thank you very much. Photograph. And that, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is a powerful picture for the day. We're very pleased that that photograph has now been taken. You can step down. For the chit-chat that's going on stage at this point, I'd like to remind you, like Professor Nana did, that there are exhibition booths outside, and I would like you to please stop by at our various MSME points where they have booths displaying what they've done, been supported by various financial institutions in the country, and provided with capacity building by Development Bank. And we keep pushing the envelope for making them better. At this point, I would like to quickly make a couple of recognitions real quick. And I'd like to start with Alhaji Mustafa Bintube, Independent Director, DBN, and Chairman, Board of Directors, Jaiz Bank PLC. We thank you for coming, sir, and it's always good to see you. Welcome. Alhaji Bello Machido, former Director, DBN, is in the room with us. It's good to see you. Welcome. I'd like to greet and welcome the representative of the Minister of State for the FCT, Mejida Adamukuku, who is here with us. We thank you for coming. Dr. Abdul Rashid Yerima, President Chairman of the Governing Council, Nigerian Association of Small and Medium Enterprises. Dr. Yerima, thank you for coming. Charles Odi, DG Small and Medium Scale Enterprises, SMEDA, is here with us. And again, I'd like to recognize Yasmin Ahmed, Head Portfolio Planning and Strategy, representing MD of MOFI. Thank you for coming. And here we have Mrs. Ijoma Ozulumba, Executive Director, DBN. Where is she? She was here a moment ago. There she is, lovely lady. Barrister Bonaventure Haimo, COO, DBN. Chief Operations Officer. Mr. Olu Adegbola, Chief Risk Officer, DBN. Chief Risk Officers are meant to watch out for people who want to go and get recommendation without looking at the risks. That's what they do. It doesn't concern me. I'm not a very risky person. And then we have Malam Idris Sali, who head Corporate Services DBN, here with us this morning. Would like to thank you so very much indeed. That panel was formidable, as the French will say, a formidable panel, which has looked at various angles to the theme that we have this morning. How do you manage in headwinds? How do you manage in what our keynote speaker describes as tornadoes, no longer headwinds? How do you manage all of those put together in a difficult economic climate across the world? More importantly, we heard from one panelist and several other panelists about what the challenges are and what the solutions should be. But I took away reputation management. You have to be that person who the banks want to give a loan. You have to live a life that does not show risk, recklessness, marrying many wives, and generally just being all over the place for no reason. You have to be that person who can be counted upon Yes, I mean, that applies to the men. But you have to be the woman who is not buying a 1.5 million naira wig when all you have is 200,000, because you will go into debt. The men are now happy. DBN runs an equal opportunities department, so we cannot be talking about what men do and we don't talk about what women can possibly do when they have money in their hands. You have to have community. So one of the panelists got some money from his church. If you are not a member of that church properly, or doing what you're expected to do, or volunteering, do you think anybody in the church will want to give you anything? Are you a good member of your community? You have to be consistent. If they gave you a loan and you returned it after 3 months instead of 4, then somebody wants to give you some more money. You have to network. You have to attend events like this, and you have to be active on social media. Reputation management, I think, is one of the biggest takeaways today, that your character is sterling and you can be trusted and you can be vouched for. And so I would like to congratulate all the panelists and the moderator for an excellent outing, and we thank them. It's time, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to invite, to deliver a goodwill, the representative of the Chairman, Senate Committee on Banking and Finance, the very distinguished Adetokunbo Mukail Abiru, who is represented today by Professor Uche Uwaleke. Professor Uche, thank you very much for coming. I greet you.
Thank you very much. A very good afternoon to you all. The MD of DBN, distinguished speaker, permit me to rest on protocols already established. Distinguished Senator Tokunbo Abiru, the Chairman, Senate Committee on Banking, is out of town, but because of the importance he attaches to this event, he has asked me to represent him. He's the Chairman, Senate Committee on Banking. But before I read the speech verbatim, permit me to say, these few words. I am Uche Uwaleke, a professor of capital markets at the Nasarawa State University. I've always been an advocate of strengthening our development finance institutions because, of course, I believe that businesses can only grow and develop with long-term capital and not just short-term capital. So each time I get an opportunity, I've always advocated that the Nexim Bank, for example, the Bank of Agriculture, the DBN, all these banks need to be strengthened, including through recapitalization, especially now that the central bank appears to be withdrawing from its development finance functions. The central bank is now saying it wants to focus on monetary policy. So there is need to strengthen our DFIs so that they can also carry out their work more effectively. My second point is to say that the capital market also provides a veritable source of finance for small businesses. If you look at the exchanges today, take the major one, the Nigerian exchange. There are just 151 companies listed on the exchange. In a country where you have over 4 or 5 million businesses registered. So more companies are needed to list, and this listing is not restricted to large businesses. So the capital market is also there for small businesses. So at some point in the life of a business, you should also think long term. You should also think, capital market. Okay, so part of your business plan should also be, a plan to eventually get listed on the exchange. The exchange has a growth board. That growth board is for, startups, is to also help them mobilize long-term funds. So the funding for businesses shouldn't just come from banks, just as you had. Banks can only give you short-term funds. If you need long-term funds, the place to get long-term funds is the capital market. I now read the speech of the distinguished senator. I'm honored to be here today to deliver this keynote goodwill message at the 2024 Annual Lecture of the DBN with the theme, Empowering Nigerian Medium and Small Enterprises in a Challenging Global Landscape. Now, this theme comes at a pivotal moment in our national journey, as the resilience of our MSMEs is crucial to propelling Nigeria's economic growth in the face of the global challenges we currently encounter. And as you may know, MSMEs are the backbone of any economy, and Nigeria is no exception. According to the SMIDAM, MSMEs account for about 96% of businesses in Nigeria, contributing approximately 48% of national GDP. Despite these figures, the potential of our MSMEs has been hindered by numerous obstacles, including limited access to finance, a challenging regulatory environment, inadequate infrastructure, and more recently, the global disruptions brought by COVID, Russia and Ukraine conflict, and other international economic crises. In this context, the role of the DBN cannot be overemphasized. By providing sustainable financing and capacity building opportunities to MSMEs, DBN is bridging a critical gap in Nigeria's financial ecosystem. It is a driving force behind the empowerment of these businesses, which are essential to fostering innovation, generating employment, and reducing poverty. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, MSMEs are often referred to as the engine of growth in developing economies. They create jobs, stimulate innovation, and contribute to the diversification of economic base. However, the reality is that operating in today's global economy presents significant challenges, from supply chain disruptions to inflationary pressures and volatile exchange rates. Nigerian MSMEs must navigate an increasingly complex business landscape. The solution to these challenges lies in a coordinated effort that involves financial institutions, policymakers, and business leaders. The Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions is committed to creating a regulatory environment that fosters innovation, reduces barriers to entry, and ensures that Nigerian MSMEs can compete on a global scale. One of the most pressing challenges facing MSMEs is a lack of access to finance. Many entrepreneurs find it difficult to secure funding, which limits their ability to expand and grow. This is where institutions like the DBN play a crucial role. Through its innovative financing solutions, DBN is ensuring that Nigerian MSMEs can access the capital they need to thrive, even in the most challenging circumstances. Distinguished guests, the empowerment of Nigerian MSMEs cannot be achieved by one institution alone. It requires a concerted effort from all stakeholders, including government agencies, financial institutions, and the private sector. We must work together to create a business environment that is conducive to growth and sustainability. The Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions is committed to playing its part to ensure that our laws and regulations are aligned with the needs of our MSMEs. As part of this commitment, we are working on several initiatives aimed at improving access to finance, reducing the cost of doing business, and enhancing overall ease of doing business. We are also in the process of amending key pieces of legislation, including the CBN Act and the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Act, to better support the financial sector in its role as a facilitator of economic growth. As I conclude, I want to reiterate the importance of empowering Nigerian MSMEs today in today's challenging global landscape. By providing them with tools, resources, and support they need to succeed, we can unlock the full potential of our economy and create a more prosperous future for all Nigerians. I commend the DBN for organizing this important lecture, for its unwavering commitment to the growth and development of Nigerian MSMEs. Let us all continue to work together to build a vibrant, inclusive, and resilient economy that works for everyone. Thank you, and I wish you all a fruitful, engaging lecture. Distinguished Senator Mokhtar Adetokunbo Abiru, FCA, FCIB, Chairman, Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions. I thank you for listening.
The representative of the Chairman, Senate Committee on Banking, distinguished Senator Abiru. It's represented today by Professor Waleke, who has talked about how important the private sector is in pushing for MSMEs, furtherance of the work that they do as the engine, the economic engine of Nigeria's economy. And also, he did talk about sustainability, and he has said that the Senate Committee on Banking is committed to playing its role in ensuring that this happens across the nation. Let's hear a round of applause for Professor Waleke, representing Senate Committee Chair on Banking and Financial Institutions. We truly thank you. I'd like to take note of the fact that we have former directors of DBN joining us online. I'd like to salute and greet Dr. Oladimeji Alo and Mrs. Claire Omateye, who have joined us online. We thank them. At this point in time, before we go off to do the vote of thanks, I'd like to announce the order of the next set of photographs, which will be pretty quick. I'd like to invite the Managing Director of DBN. I'd like to also invite the keynote speaker to join them, other than the panelists. The panelists cannot be in this picture. Other than the panelists, would like to invite to join in the photography of both managing directors, all those in the front row. All those in the front row, other than the panelists. So everybody in the front row should please join this photograph, along with Mrs. Ijeoma Ozulumba, Executive Director, Barrister Bonaventure Haimo, COO DBN, Mr. Olu Adegbola, Chief Risk Officer DBN, and Malam Idris Salihu, to join this first row photograph. And after that, the second row will be taking their turn. Only the panelists will not join this picture. Please, can we have them step forward for this photograph? Photographers, you want them on the floor? You want them up? Please, can you join us up here? It helps to give a better photograph. And I'd like to advise that we perhaps move the podium slightly. So I've also mentioned Mrs. Ijeoma, Executive Director, Mr. Bonaventure, Mr. Olu Adegbola, Malam Idris Saliu, to come forward in this first photograph. Please be careful. Sorry. Just shift it slightly. Everybody should fall out except the two managing directors, and I'm taking the second row now. I'm taking the second row. Can we invite Xavier to join this photograph? Xavier, could you join this photograph from where you're seated, please? Thank you very much. The second row. Thank you very much. Haja Fati, please shift that way so that we don't block off these people. Yes. All right, thank you. Everybody else move forward. That's it, thank you. Can you see them all? I'd like the two MDs to please remain. Team Fidelity Bank. Team Fidelity Bank. And it's worthy. They have supported this initiative. We appreciate them. And so it would be nice for Team Fidelity Bank to fall in here. I didn't hear the clap for Team Fidelity Bank. They've done great. Right. This is a photograph that says, "We are with you, Development Bank, and we thank you for your support over the years." And they have provided requisite support as well for this 5th Dbn Annual Lecture. Thank you very much. You may return to your seats. Thank you. And this is the moment where we begin to round off such an excellent day such as this. All of us have benefited a lot. We've listened, we've learned and unlearned. Let's continue to clap as our keynote and managing director return to their seat, and the managing director of DBN, who has been the chief host of this event. Let us use as a point of contact, as always for me today for this event, Mohammed Yunus. The current generation of young people is the most powerful generation in history because of the technology in their hands, but if they don't know what their purpose is, their power will go to waste. That also tells us that, as I've always said, mentoring is the unexplored key to the development of Africa. If you have somebody mentoring you, you are going to do the right thing. I listened to a gentleman sitting beside me, and he says to me, "We did not have the connection. We couldn't find the key to how a man marrying another wife is related to MSMEs." And I said, "It's my local economics. You know, I don't have a degree in economics, so I have license to say whatever I can concerning my own local economics." And he's still doubting. But you know, sometimes those things happen. The money is for the business. It's not for wig. It's not for eyelash. It's not for you to marry a new wife. It's not for you to buy a fast car. As my mom would say, cut your coat according to your size and do the needful when you've taken those things that help your enterprise. It's time now for us to invite very quickly to come to the podium a man who sits as chairman Jaiz Bank, but is also director DBN. Help me welcome Alhaji Mustafa Bintube.
It's good to see you. Thank you very much. Well, they said all is well that ends up well. And on that note, we would like to begin with thanking the Almighty for making this a very successful event. And of course, our very engaging, very exciting audience. Without the audience, there will not be lecture. I would also like to, the panelist Joshua spoke about profit sharing, and this is a subject that is very passionate. I'm very passionate about it. It's very dear to me. As my sister Eugenia said, I also sit on the board of Jaiz Bank, the first Islamic bank in Nigeria. So what Joshua did is exactly what we are doing at Jaiz Bank. It's profit sharing. And it's open to all, irrespective of race or religion. In fact, the first customer in 2012, borrowing customer was Daniel. And, you know, when he saw me somewhere, he actually came and did Dubale for me. Because the central bank themselves were not very familiar with the principles of Islamic finance. So when they first came for their first supervision, they said, "You are an Islamic bank, but your first credit customer was Daniel." We said yes, just like Daniel goes to the market, he buys from Mohammed, and Mohammed buys from Daniel. Is an alternative financing method. So thank God I was on the board of Bank of Industry, we introduced non-interest window in that. So the just central bank just gave them an approval. And by stroke of fate, I was also invited to be on this august board of the DBN. And we are already discussing with the management to introduce non-interest banking. So that it's just a product. Like I said, we are going to diversify the financing products. And I assure you there will be more Joshuas that will benefit from DBN. Thank you very much. On this occasion, it's very difficult to call on everybody. But like I said, our audience at the first, we thank you very much for very engaging, we also thank our dear keynote speaker. Thank you, Madam. I was ex-Fidelity also. Clara just came and she told me she's occupying the office that I left. So I'm coming back to get my office. Our panelists, my sister Juma, Ndel, and others, we thank you very much. We also have our board of directors joining online, Alao, Claire, Omashane, and others. One of our key present board members is here, but unfortunately he's indisposed, UK, Mr. Eke. We have our former chairman, Dr. Sheoya here. He's here there. We have our former chairman, Wakilin Sokoto, Malam Bello Machido. We have Malam Abba Bello, my brother, the managing director and CEO of Nexim Bank. We thank you for coming. You are also a DFI, so the new game is in competition is collaboration. So we thank you very much for that. My sister Haja Fatima Wali, representing Alhaji Aliko Dangote, the Dangote Group. We thank you very much. My brother from the NYC Sunday, thank you very much. The chief of, sorry, it's not in any, protocol. The representative of the chief of Army staff. General, you are welcome. Thank you very much. My brother and my friend, Alhaji Tujani Borodo, the president of Institute of Directors. Who else? Our able managing director and his team. The entire board and management of DBN, our major shareholders, etc. But more importantly, our SMEs, the main purpose why we are here today. In the end, ideas are ideas until they are acted upon. So we pray the Almighty to give the management and the staff the willingness and the ability to implement those ideas. We thank you very much for attending this, and we pray for peace, progress, and prosperity in our dear country, Nigeria. Good afternoon. Have a good break. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
In the end, ideas are ideas until they are acted upon. Indeed, a lot of the things that have been said by the chairman, Jaiz Bank, and director, DBN, Alhaji Bintube, is basically directed at thankfulness for such an excellent and exciting event today, where we are all gathered to push the MSMEs of Nigeria forward in a challenging global economy. And we thank you all for being participants at this event. Before we take a bow from the podium here, I'd like to say that we must, as a matter of course, thank Alhaji Bintube for doing the honors on behalf of all of us. So a round of applause for him. Thank you very much. You have been participating at the Dbn Annual Lecture 2024, theme Empowering Nigerian MSMEs in a Challenging Landscape. And we congratulate you and thank you for coming to be with us through this day and up till this afternoon. The hall is still full. We believe that you have the MSMEs in your heart. I have at the MC's podium a set of keys. You'll have to tell me what is on your key holder. And we also have glasses, a glass case for glasses. So if it's yours, please make your way. My executive assistant is seated somewhere around there, and she will make them available to you when you explain yourself. We are DBN, Financing Sustainable Growth, and we are the foremost organization with a mandate to enhance MSMEs in Nigeria. It has been a worthy afternoon. It has been an incredible pleasure to serve. We have had laughs. We have had moments of seriousness. We've looked at the challenges. We've looked at the solutions. And we have had a good woman deliver a keynote and have an excellent coterie of panelists. We thank everyone else. And to our chief host, MD, Dr. Tony Okpanachi, who brings it all together, the local organizing committee for this, and all DBN staff, and of course, Fidelity Bank. It's our thankfulness that goes to all of you and MSMEs and esteemed participants. My name is Eugenia Abu. This has drawn the curtain for this year's Dbn Annual Lecture, the 5th in the series. It's time to salute the nation. Please be upstanding.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle honored, and this we count as gain. To hang on to our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. And so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed.
Thank you very much. This event is officially closed. Good afternoon.
Record.